What that boy Wayne say? He say, and they trying to build a brand new map without us. Some, no matter what they do, it's still gonna be ours. That boy Wayne, dog, I'm telling you, man. And that just I was listening to The Sky's the Limit earlier. That how hard, man. That how hard. But I was just laughing at some of the songs I used to listen to when I was younger. But man, let's get into it. The reason I'm here, man, my friend had a good topic, my boy D friend. It was like, where did Massa Musa wealth go? Where did all the Massa Musa wealth go? And for me, that's a valuable question. Honestly, just knowing history and knowing how this time played out, nobody was really interested in trying to even share his message or collect any extra information on him. Let's be real. Just like most of the other things that go along with a lot of African knowledge. But he was asking what's the fall, and for me, I know. I can't say I know exactly why he asked that question, but I know a lot of people ask that question in the sense to deal with if he was so rich, if we were so wealthy, how did we lose that much money? And for us, it's the same as just looking out in America. We can literally look today and see how America had 300-400 years of building. Some of these corporations had 50 to hundreds, 50 to at least 100 years to build. And as soon as a pandemic come, they need a bailout. And it's like y'all made millions, y'all was making thousands a day, and for years, and then 1 month came and now we gotta sit out. And that's just to go to show just like the fall of a civilization can happen abruptly or quickly from a loss of a war to many things. But the reason I have to speculate, because I've read on Massa Musa before, but it's not much on him if you ask me. Obviously, like I said earlier, just deal with Black history and how that's treated. They literally whitewash it or destroy it or burn it or hide it. So we're not gonna get the crux of what happened, but I'm pretty sure it was doing with some type of war or colonization. Because the whole thing about Mansa Musa was he never invaded other people. So if he never invaded other people, I'm sure that there was other people invading. This was the Wakanda of the world, and we could see how Wakanda almost collapsed. Some inner turmoil. It don't take much. It don't take much. So that's why I say when you ask those type of questions, you gotta speculate sometimes when it ain't that much history. But that's anything with any nation. You could just see the fall and rise of a nation. No matter how powerful a nation is, it's going to fall. And you can literally put a time period on it. Most nations fall around 300 to 400 years. Let's look up. Let me see. Mansa Musa's known history. Scholar, generous, patron, far-sighted ruler. In chronicle terms, Mansa Musa ruled less than 100 years after the fall of Baghdad. See the total destruction. Okay, so let's look up the total destruction of Central Asia and Persia by the Mongols. Okay, what was in here? I said, when I did research, it wasn't much. It was probably a few articles. This is when I first started doing my shit. And I mean, I really never had a reason to go back to this information, but there's some more stuff coming up. And that makes sense. His name keeps getting recycled more and more as time goes on. So I'm sure people start doing research. Well, let's see. Let's type this in. Baghdad, Mongol. Well, Mongols. Let's just look up Mongols and see where they come from. But we know they got invaded. Invade. But y'all see how a lot of these places that's been had wars still have them. Like people been fighting in Baghdad and for Baghdad for forever. Same with Israel and Syria and all these places. Let's see. The siege of Baghdad was seized and took place in Baghdad in 1258. Lasted 13 days until the siege. Okay, we got some. My bad, y'all. This is gonna be an hour video for the people that can't wait. It might have to come back. Just letting y'all know now. Hold on though. All right, the siege of Baghdad was a siege that took place in Baghdad. Okay, somebody just trying to get them 1,000 words in the essay. Lasting 13 days from January 29th, 1258 until the siege laid by Asians slash Middle Eastern, which also Arab area look like. But it's clearly Asian with the names Hung, Khan, and things like that. Genghis Khan. Okay, look, here we go. From southwestern sector to the Mongols ruled by. So it took another powerful nation to wipe out another powerful nation. The grandson of Genghis Khan. So ruled by the Mongols, House of Hulakan, the son of Tul, is the grandson of Genghis Khan, and we already know how powerful Genghis Khan had made his. But we see, we all know about Genghis Khan and how he basically raped, pillaged, and made everything basically his, even to his seed. But even his civilization failed. So it's like that just go to show you, eventually you're gonna meet a bigger bad dude on the block. And that's why I have to say about America, because even for us, the last 100 years we've been facing a collapse. If you ask me, I'm kind of jumping ahead. America prime, yeah, I'm jumping ahead. I'm jumping ahead. But yeah, just saying, right here we clearly see what happened with the fall of Baghdad, and another great, in the sense of a nation and rulership and power, I would say another great superpower had came into existence, where they basically could dictate anything to anyone with nobody able to hold them accountable or check them. I mean, just because their power is just so unbalanced and out of the way. But okay, all right, so um. I'm trying to see maybe the reason why. I really don't have to get into the reason why. When you see Genghis Khan and family, just know they were some mean ass colonizers. All right, here we go. Hooligan Khan, the third son of. Oh no, that's too far down. I'm looking for literally. I'm really just looking for Baghdad. I think this is a little bit of history about. Okay, yeah, that was going. My bad. I was getting into the history of a dude. Forces Allied troops involved into investment to capture and sack of Baghdad, which is the capital of at the time. The Mongols were under command. I laugh. I was just talking to myself. This shit funny. But let's see what's the planning. Resolve the established. And then the submission of very Muslim states. So there's some of the same religious wars and battles basically been happening. Mansa Musa, I would assume there was Muslim, Islam, like a lot of our people at the time were in those areas, and still are in those areas. So and we've seen how it's been many crusades and things trying to switch over. So even when these people are no longer moving as a religious force, they still have their religious principles tucked into them, and they're basically just the kids of these religious crusades, if you think of it like that. So America, we don't participate in crusades anymore, but we still have those same principles from what we did when we colonized. Okay, I gotta get out of that we shit. What they did when they colonized and oppressed people during the crusades, they just took those principles and moved it with America and Great Britain and many other principles or nations in the UN. So these are just kids of the crusades, these new nations that's been around. So And then the kids of these nations or these terrorist groups and terrorist organizations that you see that come around like ISIS and stuff like that, because they only are a reflection of these nations that's been so corrupt. So we see how this shit just get passed down. So even though it's been, like I said, Genghis Khan was just trying to submit the Muslims and shit like that, or bring them to submission. That's just another, I don't know what they were. I don't know if they was Christians, Rome. I don't know what the fuck they were, but they had whatever their principles was. Probably Buddhists or whatever, I don't fucking know. Or Genghis Khanists or whatever. I'm sure they was creating a religion out of him at the time. So, yeah. We got conquered by basically another crusade, and we see that all the time. Christians versus Muslims, or Islam or whatever. So, on to, let's look at, so let's go into, what is it, Genghis Khan? We're gonna go into, the Mongols. Although I might be spelling it wrong. That's Mongols. Mongols. Time span. If y'all seen how I had my shit typed, how I was typing, y'all realize why I'm typing so slow. Put this shit in my lap real quick. All right. Do I want to go into somebody's page? I just want to look into. There we go. Timelines. All right, so we know Mansa Musa had the wealth of somewhat around Jeff Bezos, really more than Jeff Bezos by probably another double it, maybe even by a third. But let's say this: they lasted 100 years. We know that 100 some odd years. So now let's go into Genghis Khan, 200 years. And we know how powerful Genghis Khan was. Tunum was born. I don't know who these people are. Assumes the title of Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan expands the empire. Fox Mongols begin. So they wasn't even 100. He was born here, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe the Mongols already had a little force going and he was the new leader of it. Maybe that's what's going on here. But even then, their prime, which we're going to get into with America and stuff like that, were about right here, about 100 years. They had a good little pop, and a lot of this stuff for me correlates to trends, and just looking at these trades and stocks that I've been getting into, everything has an uptrend, a downtrend, shit like that, and a peak, just like a movie. You got you get to the good part of the movie, the peak, I forgot what it's called, but they give it a name. And then it's uphill, you get to the peak, then it's downhill, unwinding and stuff like that. And stuff like that. So they climbed their way up the hill, but and climbed their way down the hill. And that went from, let's say he assumes the titles of Genghis Khan, he expands the empire. So let's say it went from, I don't know why they say 2007. Maybe it was the time it switched between BC. So we're just gonna say 1206. All right. The starts a war against the Jin dynasty, succeeds, Khan becomes the Great Khan. Okay, and I'll just say somewhere around the 1300s they start to see a decline. Who knows when? It's probably a little before, a little after. Who cares? So a little over 100 years of success, and that was a dominant, super dominant force. Let's see how far they expanded. They literally had almost all of Russia, all of Asia, or China, USR, parts of South Arabia. All this shit is, all these are still powerful nations, still to this day, and they had all this. Why? Because the resources and where their placement, and next to seas, next to rivers, all these places are still valuable pieces of land to this day, and they held all of it at one point. I can't say all of Russia's valuable because it's a lot of whatever, buried sea or buried or whatever that shit called, buried forest or whatever, but whatever. Right here, we already know oil, all these other things, just resources. Well, I guess they didn't have oil back then, but spices, shit, just trade routes to in and out of Europe, into Africa. So all these were important places, because to get here, you gotta go through these small straits and things like that, and that's where a lot of tension can cause because of borders and stuff like that. So they had a lot of power and they had a lot of space, or they took over and colonized a lot of area. So same here. And you're gonna see the same, similar with almost every nation, how far they expand. But the thing is, they expand too much. Mansa Musa was cool and being a quaint little place, not trying to invade, just trying to build his shit up, and that would really cause them probably to fall quicker, because if he would expand it, he could have had bigger forces, bigger nations, but he also knew that came with bigger priorities, and trying to hold up those soldiers and provide for those soldiers, or even colonize those soldiers. It's going to take work, and maybe more work than he was willing to do, and he probably tried to, maybe work with people civilly, but even then that wasn't enough, because they were moving by force. So let's move to Rome. All right, Rome time span. I think Rome got their shit off. Rome was probably the most powerful one. Well, here, look, this is gonna take up. This is gonna basically clear up all the searching that I have to do. Hopefully this is right, because I'm not gonna fact check it, but it looks about right with my information that I'm looking for. So we're gonna give it. But as I said, it looks about accurate from, like I said, from 300 to 400, and even less than that. I was pushing it with 400. So America's shown exceptional growth, and for a lot longer than others. What that means is going to come crashing down, especially when you realize how America's been built off inflation, especially for a little minute. So yeah, let's just get into it. Persia. We all know about Persia, the Roman against the Roman 300, all that, how powerful, how big they were. We're just gonna try to go a little quick through here. Persia Empire. Can't spell, y'all. Don't worry about it. All right, Persian Empire. See how big it is, and look what their global domination is trying to be, or where they're trying to dominate the globe. Right into going into Africa, right in and going into this is Israel. This is what's the other, Bethlehem, all these religious places, Syria. Then you get into Arab, Syria up here, my bad. But then you get into the Arab countries and shit like that. So that means Israel somewhere over here too. Cause I know it's a little bit outside of Africa, but the new Africa, old Africa in a sense, but all this shit's Africa. Let's be real. But over time, different invaders and shit came in. So that's what's happened. So Syrian, we seen how they basically had, like I said, all the way to get into America, way to get into India, way to get into China. Like if you wanted to trade in this area, you most likely you had to go through them, because they got all the rivers, they got all. So that's just how these people dominate. They dominate and monopolize some of the greatest points. And I'm gonna bring that up too. I got it. I got it tucked. Hopefully I don't forget. I just throw a little tidbit in here so y'all know if I don't get it out. Just look about how if y'all want to look on your own, look where we place all our bases, our military bases. Look where we place all our and how we block in some nations and shit like that. Like literally, some of our military bases are completely surrounding certain nations that we don't fuck with. Excuse me. So we've been doing it as well, and slowly been colonizing it with the American schemey ass tactics, and also the Federal Reserve tactics and collapsing nations. But like I said, I don't want to skip too far ahead. So Persia, you see how they take all the key places, and even other they even got rid of the Roman 300s, which was another powerful nation. Not the Roman, Spartans, which were a part of the Romans and stuff like that. But even the Spartans was just this powerful nation. So when we look at Mansa Musa, a powerful nation, we look at the Spartans, another powerful nation that falls to these other conquering kingdoms or nations that stuck on invading. Even though they may defend themselves and can fight, just damn, that shit sucked. And yeah, I'm just listening to myself, but hold on. But so fuck it, I just get into it. But I was just saying how you could build so much, and then you be focused on yourself, and then a corporation come in, or a nation come in, and really in a matter of a month or a week can wipe you out. Just like how Corona kind of in a sense stopped everything, made us change life as we know it. We had 400 years of just hustling, bustling, working for America, and all of a sudden this pandemic came and everything got put on a hold, and literally our economy almost crashed. We're gonna get into it more, but I say the same thing about Mansa Musa. It literally took 13 days for a civilization to fall. It's a powerful number, but it's also ass when you think about it. It took 100 years to build and 13 days to fall. It's a snap of the fucking finger, dog. It's a snap of the finger how fast. It's like a rogue wave on the beach, and your nation a sandcastle. Because 100 years and it took 13 days for a nation to fall. And then I look at some of these nations, they it don't take long for them to fall. See, 13 days. The war lasted 13 days, and after that, life was different as they know it. I'm sure Mansa Musa still had power, and Charlie was trying to bounce back and maybe resurge and get stuff back, but ultimately they end up failing just because of the forces they were going against. But yeah, like I said, so yeah, we knew how Persia got rid of a lot of the Romans that were super powerful. But look, after Persian fell, what comes along? Greece for 200 years, 300 years. Then it falls, and these are all powerful. We still use their fucking gods and shit that they like. We have not forgot about these nations. That's how powerful these nations are. We still write and make movies about these nations. From I don't know about this one, but Persia, Greece. We know we talk about Alexander the Great, and then all of his successors. And then you get into Roman Republic and stuff like that. These are all powerful nations. Roman only lasted 200 years. Let's go into where they took up. Okay. I don't know how I did that. Okay. So Roman Empire, I'm getting a few different maps that look a little different. So these kind of all look the same. But once again, you see how they take up all the major water ports and things like that. And even these people the reason I bring this up because they basically had a monopoly on the land, but yet this shit still fell from out their grasp somehow. Obviously, it's too much. They expanded too much. You're trying to conquer and too much, and it's too many different ways you can get hit as well. Like, yeah, you're gonna conquer it for a while, but you can get invaded here, you can get invaded there, you can get invaded here, you can get invaded there, and that's just how it kind of is. Over time, so every nation gonna fall. That's just how it is. And I just wanted to show how literally we all know how still to the day how important this sea is right here. I forgot what the name of that sea is. That I'm really sleep on that. I used to know this shit, but I don't want to try to be smart. But yeah, all these are still main access point. This right here, I forgot the name of this shit. This shit is so important. And one of these river points, I know it's so important. I'm learning this shit in geography, but it literally connects to almost every nation to some extent. But yeah, I don't know how the fuck I forgot about that. The Mediterranean, I can't even say it. Red Sea, yeah, we know how important that is. And then yeah, all throughout here, yeah, it's just, oh yeah, I'm not trying to be a history buff right now. I'm just trying to show y'all a little of the game that I remember from school. I think we could stop with no fuck. We're gonna get through all these because, like I said, it is what it is. Oh, maybe because one of them is the Roman Empire, and then there's the Roman Republic. That shit sound like the Star Wars, don't it? But even then, both of them fell, and even in Star Wars, them niggas fell too. These powerful nations would be due to fall. They only have so long they can reign. That's just is what it is. It's too much. It's too much going on inside the empire, let alone. Like, bro, if you gotta colonize and shit, just imagine what type of animosity or tension be in those type of rooms. Like, on how you gonna colonize or how you gonna treat these people and stuff like that. It's all type of shit that be going on in the rooms and deception. That's not a healthy environment to try to create and cultivate people. So imagine just all the backstabbing and things that's going on in these empires. How many kings got killed by their sons or got killed by their cousins because they wanted to succeed. It's a lot of treachery that go on in these empires besides just other people even trying to colonize them. Like, for instance, with Rome, I know like it became a problem between religious and state, and they start battling each other for power. So sometimes it be eternal shit more than anything. Like, look at America. Like, it's not that we so threatened by Mexico or threatened by Canada and invading us or threatened by any other nation that's like, we ain't threatened by them. It's more internal shit when you really look at it. Like, we can't even take care of our own. So and then okay, yeah, but that we know that. So let's get into it. Arab, I keep trying to copy and paste that shit. And that's one thing you could say, I guess. You can say semblances or remnants of these nations still exist. So you could be like, well, these nations never really fail. But I would say that's fine. Maybe they still exist, but the power they have is kind of irrelevant to the other powers that be, in a sense. Not irrelevant, but not as important. So we can take this opportunity, knowing like black people and us as a nation, because we are a black nation. We're just a lost nation. The money that we could reflip and just re-put into our shit, we could be one of the most powerful nations immediately. As this country starts to fall, we can pick up the pieces pick up the little pieces that were good of this country and keep pushing forward. Because obviously everything about America not trash, and we learned some valuable lessons dealing with America, good, bad, whatever. And ultimately, yeah, we can keep going. It goes back to my message yesterday. We haven't really built up much in America yet. So once shit start falling, we're poised to keep to go even further. Because it ain't like we had equity built in America. Every time we tried to build equity in America, they destroyed it or mitigated it or tried to oppress it. So as we keep growing, we're gonna have less oppression towards us because America has less and less power, obviously. But yeah, and as America fall, we not really intertwined with that. We don't have stock in America because they never gave it to us. They redlined us really from America. We live in it, but we've been redlined from the equity of America for so long. So now that America falling, they trying to get us to buy in, but it's like, nah, fuck that. We just gonna bind ourselves and watch y'all fall and maybe buy up like I say, buy some of the shit up in America that we may want to get. But ultimately, however we do it, we could become the next powerful nation. Just how Mongols took over Mansa Musa, just how the Syrians or Persia took over Rome, just how Arab took over Rome. It goes on and on. We can take over. And for us, we can stop. We could break the cycle of trying to colonize and start to teach and heal. I can't say that would be a perfect idea, but if we broke the cycle, instead of trying to be the best next colonizer, like maybe we could lay off on the wars, because all these people they become colonizer and keep doing everything that was done to them. The oppressed become an oppressor, oppressed become the oppressor, oppressor become the oppressor, in a sense. Because at one point all these people were down and rose up, and because at one point they were the leaders, and then they had to get taken down by these people, in a sense. Because we're seeing that all these places are basically in the same area. They all dominate in the same area. So for one person to fall, the other one got to rise. So yeah. Just like how America was this grand and powerful nation due to its placement, due to a lot of other things, from just how big it is, how it can be touched the East Coast, or it could touch motherfucking Europe, and then it could touch China on both sides of its fronts. It's dealing with America. And looking at it like that, we could take America, the land that's still going to be here once the corporations are falling and no longer have power, and build off that, just like how we see these other these companies. I keep saying corporations and companies because it's the same game. It's no different. Like you say, even religions too. But corporations just children of nations. That's what you got, nations and corporations, or basically, you can hear it. But what was I saying? So. Yeah, just how they came and rebought up the land. We got to buy up the block. We got to rebuy up the block. In America, our block. And once America fall, which is falling, is they're losing the grips, because, like I said, their economy keep collapsing. We'll come up with our own shit. But let's skip a few of them. We're gonna go to Arab Empire, which is still pretty powerful now in dealing with oil. They really haven't lost their power since then, dealing with that. In this region, they've been able to keep that region for a minute. Obviously, they didn't get it to expand more, but you know how like Mansa Musa pretty much lost everything. It even shows if we got strong enough, you can never completely destroy us, and we know that already. We're just more spread out. We're not together as a collective nation. But even here, as the Arab lost and they wasn't the biggest empire on the block no more, they still had a big say in things. That's why I say you don't never really get completely destroyed, depending on where your placement, depending on how good you were. You can keep going, like I said, for us. And knowing some of our history and dealing with looking at like at the Seminoles and a lot of the Native Americans and how hard it was to get them to finally just be putting hoods and shit. It took them years. It took them hundreds of years to get us out of Florida and shit like that. So I feel the same way. If we was to recolonize and regrow and rebuild our numbers up as a black people, because y'all gotta think about black people, our numbers are low and we're still dominating. Imagine if we were able to populate without the mass incarceration and abortion and all the shootings and shit like that. Our numbers still low and we dominate with as far as capital and equity and money that we have. I know it don't go back into our communities, but still the potential's there. So imagine if we start to recultivate ourselves without those same oppressive things around us. It's gonna be so hard to ever stop us again. Like they've got so far. Like yeah, I think we've been oppressed for what? As a black nation from the different colonizations and crusades throughout the years in Africa and Australia, for thousands of years they've been committing genocide acts against us. But we're still here. Like I said, we're our numbers are lower and lower and lower, but ultimately we still haven't been able to been wiped out. So if we get any type of chance to rebuild our numbers up, how Arabs got this in a what do you call it? They got the block on lock. We can do that same shit in America. Cause you gotta think. I say this and I'll be done with just that point. Even with America, the numbers of the population of the main source of population, which is white people, their infertility rates are so low. At some rate, they're decreasing on their own merits. And then if you look at somebody like the African American or black community or Hispanic community, how we're able to reproduce. America had this power with low infertility. This is basically my point. America had low infertility rates for I don't know how long, and was able to keep this nation is going for 300-400 years, whatever with whatever tactics they were using. We're going to be able to do those same things with fertility rates that are so crazy that you wouldn't be. It's like China. Think about wiping Chinese people off the earth. Like not literally, but think how hard that would possibly be. It's too many. It's billions of them. It's billions of them. That's impossible. They built the force up too big that it's impossible. Like if you want to go to war against Asians, eventually you got to fight every motherfucking Asian, and that's a billion of them. So same for black people. Like we don't have our numbers up as much as we can. So if we get our numbers up to the billions, bro, we already make trillions of dollars and spend trillions of dollars. If we had numbers in the billion, if we were the minorities in America, my God, we will run this fucking world. We already won the world as far as entertainment, as far as trailblazers, as far as ingenuity, as far as innovative, just anything doing with creativity. We be leading those fronts. Don't get me wrong, I respect niggas like Tesla. I respect dude that what's the dude that got the other shit, Virgin Mobile dude. I respect dudes like that. Don't get it twisted, Bezos. I respect them. But they doing that with all these different tactics in place for it to be a benefit to them, especially once you already get rich. I don't even know how I said that, but yeah, bro, once we build our capital up, it's done. It's done. It's done. We lead the world already in mostly everything. And everything. From education, our black women up there. You can look at almost every field or space, black people somewhere in it or about to be dominating it. If we're not number one, we goddamn number two. I'm not. I'm in the top 3 and I'm not 1, or whatever he said. I'm not 3 and I'm not whatever the hell he said. I forgot the damn saying. I fucked it all up. So imagine if we were able to actually thrive with fertility and knowledge and education and wisdom over time. It'd be hard for us to ever come back to where we are now. And yeah. Like I said, with Mansa Musa and shit, it was different. Their numbers probably wasn't as high, so they was able to be invaded in 13 days. Same with the Catholics. I mean, the Spartans. They only had so many Spartans to work with, and they still was able to hold off a nation for a little minute before they had reinforcements. And so imagine how hard they were able to defend with their tactics and to hold off a nation. Now imagine with our numbers and then us taking just giving a little game. Like y'all want to know really where white people learn to fight. You know how they say the British, they used to fight in lines? I told y'all I can't spell, y'all. I be looking for the Google spell check anyways. But you see how they used to do this all the time? So then they magically came up with the new way. Oh no, they didn't. No, they said that. They said they learned that from Native Americans actually. Then you get the Native Americans. They start fighting Native Americans and trying to get them out, and they realize how Native Americans don't fight like this and this stagnant way of fighting. Whoever would have come up with this, like, it's just stupid. It wasn't. That's not strategic. This is just a numbers game. Who has more numbers, basically? I mean, yes, you can put strategic into it by. They did have strategy into it, but it's more of a numbers game really than anything. But versus when they start fighting Native Americans, they were hide in the forest, they were hide in the bushery. Same with like Vietnam. When they go into Vietnam, they hid inside the land. They blended inside their land. So imagine us like that, and that's why it was so hard for them to get a lot of the Seminoles out of there in Florida, because they were so cultivated with. They knew the land so well, like the back of their hand. It's like how could you stop us? How could you really be able to get it? Like every time, like think about it. Like it's so many different correlations when they talk about like these cocaine places in South America and stuff like that, and how they'll be in the jungle militia, or what is it called? When they be in the forest, and it's just hard to find them because there's so much forestry and stuff like that. So even when you get one location on them and you like, oh, we got some information or intel, that only will last for a day or two before they moved, and now they flanking you on some shit. So they just, how could you really keep track on them when there's just so much forestry and so much shit that you had to navigate through just to get to one of them, or find just the inkling of civilization? Because they constantly stayed on the move. They constantly stayed moving with the land and the animals and shit like that. They didn't just I'm just saying it was hard to stop them, bro. It was many reasons why. So imagine us taking on those same principles, but not just in Florida, in America. It'll be hard. Like, let's look at how long it took. We can jump past not only one thing I'll go into is the Spaniard nations, and then I'll be done with that. Native American population before Columbus. 2 to 7 million people. That's cool, that's a lot, but I'm talking about getting our numbers to the billions, honestly. But even then, look how long it took. It took them. So Columbus came in the 1400s. Let's see. Today, many historians and archaeologists agree that there was probably 100 million people living in America around the 1400s. I know Americans came in around 1400s, 1500s. The British and shit came over from the 14 to 1800s. 14 and 1500s. They were coming over. A little bit before that as well. But it took them 400 years, right around that same number that I say, 300 to 400 years, for them to wipe out the Native American population. And they're still not wiped out, because we are the Native Americans, along with a lot of the people that look like the Native Americans we know. They're still around as well too, and they're making money and shit too. Now their population not as well, but imagine if they were able to get their population up. But which they are, because like I said, a lot of the Seminoles was our skin color. Native Americans were different skin complexions, just like you get Mexicans that's black people. You got Mexicans and Cubans that's black and light skin, just like these. We're all melanated people. We just speak different language and come from different cultures, but we all black. We all got, and some of us been more colonized with other less melanated skins, but other than that, we all got basically melanin in us. So some Native American groups are definitely more melanated pigment or skin than other nations, but ultimately we all were brown people. They try to divide the black and brown even to this day. Like, nigga, ain't no difference between black and brown. The fuck y'all treat us the same, y'all hold us the same, all that shit. Y'all just divide our plights so we never come together, and we keep fighting each other in a sense. So it took them almost, so I know the all right, so we go from 1492, and then we're gonna go to I'm sorry y'all, I'm trying to dig in my bag. I can't think of the trail that it was called. It was like the mass native. It's the Trail of Tears. Okay, Trail. And I think, yeah, this is one of them, but it was many of them. So when was the Trail of Tears? At 1800s. Seminole resistance. It is we had, bro. I'm telling you, it took them a long time to get us out of Florida and to get us onto these trails of tears. And even when we got on the trails, bro, we still were dominating Texas. We still was dominating the South. I'm telling y'all, if y'all know y'all history, y'all would be so confident in what we could do. I promise y'all. Because soon as we start bucking back, there's nothing they could do. It's too many of us, and we too spread out. We too spread out. But the trail. So it took them. I'm sorry. It took them from the Americas before, so around 1500s, and it took them about 200 to 300 years before. So I said 1500. It took them 300 years to get to this, to get to the Trail of Tears, where this is when you basically start seeing the hoods being implemented, or things just like the hoods, where they put us into a segment for us to receive certain type of treatment and lacks of resources and stuff like that. They literally was putting us in places that had no resources, no water, no things like that. When you look at the Native American, I remember listening to TSU. I was at school, bro, and we literally was talking about, let me make sure my shit's still recording. All right, we literally was talking about how the Native Americans was put into these things and how then they were gentrified and basically integrated into white systems to where it wasn't even cool to keep your same cultural things that you used to hold on to. It was better to dress up like a white man. I'm like, God damn, black people went through that same shit. Where we with the waves, with us wearing suits, with all this shit trying to fit in. Native Americans went through that too. I'm like, damn, that shit sounds just like us. And this before I had knowledge, and I'm like, oh, that shit sounds just like us. And I was really getting pissed off in school because I'm looking around like, nobody here, they did that to us too. And then come to find out that was us. They was already, that was us they was doing it to. We just don't know that because that's how good they did it. But yeah, but we're the Seminoles. Let's look at some Seminoles for real quick. Let's look at some Seminole people real quick. They all gonna be whitewashed, I guarantee you. But you're gonna see remnants of black people. Maybe not. Maybe not. Honestly, if you don't know, you can do your research. It's many black Seminoles. Matter of fact, let's not play with the people the naysayers today. That's why my mama love them so much. The things that we resonate with, I'm telling y'all, just like Cubans, just like you, or just like a Hispanic, be black as hell with their hair still. They got a little Spaniard in them, but them boys melanin. Let's keep that 100. That's black. That's black, and that's one example. That's black. These black people. Same when you go to Creoles. Them black people. White as hell, them black people. We know what the Creole look like. They French. They was colonized by French, but them black people with all the soul in them. So these people could look white because of they got. That's why I said I wanted to go back to the Spain, because Spain got our people as well. It wasn't just British. But these black people, Mexicans, y'all black people. Native Americans, y'all black people. Well, we brown people. I should say black people. We brown people. That's what I should say. Cause we don't need to convert them. We gotta be converted to knowing where we at. Black ain't got no history, but Native American and brown people, they got way more history than blacks. Let's be real. We need to understand that we ain't black people. Black people ain't got no history but slavery. Brown people, oh, that shit predates slavery. That shit predates slavery, and we all brown. We all brown. So, like I said, it took them from the 1500s all the way to the 1800s before they could finally start implementing it and trying to get us into the hoods. See, 1835, Seminoles Indians refused to leave Florida. It took them probably, I want to say, another 50 to 100, 60 to 70 years before they could get us out of there. They didn't really get us out to the late 1900s. Okay, it said 1835s, but even when they was pulling us out, we were still going back. Like, they'll pull us out and we'll still go back. I ain't know they send us through the water, but where they at? We went to Louisiana, Oklahoma, the Creek Indians, all this shit. And with the Creek Indians, that's where you get Django, or Bass Reeves. He was a Creek Indian, I believe, and his family grew up with the Creek Indians and all that. They accepted him just like one of their own. Why? Because he was one of their own. Come on, let's be real. All right, and Alabama, we all through there, all through the places that we still dominate today. And they've been lowering our population in these areas more and more and more through mass incarceration, The genocide is real, man. Because this is where our population been at. We spread it out. We went up to the north and shit like that, but we still here. This is where the most of the racist intention still at. You can go to Cali too a little bit, but ultimately, this is where most of our black population at, and this is where most of the oppression at. This is most of the genocide is still going on. This is where most of the unjust laws at the most. Let's just be real. All in here. And it's no different. They moved us because we was in these areas. Florida, the reason we was in Florida because was it the French? Yes, it was the French that gave the French, I think, or the Spaniards on this land, and they gave us if we took education and became soldiers for the Spaniards to protect Florida, they gave us free, basically. We could become a citizen basically, and those are like the only requirements. You get education, and then you sign up to become a soldier for a year. So along with the French helping us out, giving us guns and helping us protect Florida, which was along with that, we already had the tactics and living in there in these areas. So it's a lot that goes into why we couldn't get out of Florida. And even when we got out of Florida, we still was, bro. It was so many revolutions inside of these trails that it'll be hard. It would take at least 3-4 hours to get through all of them. Like I have a video on it already. We've been lied to. We've been deceived. I link it in the video. But these are part of America being at war for 200, 300 years straight. I included these things because it was all a part of them gaining more power. So yeah, it might not have been. I include the Civil War as well. It may not have been some external people we fighting as far as Americans or what's going on inside of America, but it's still civil tension, or at least tension inside of here, because it wasn't civil because we wasn't a part of that nation. But I'm just saying, it was still things going on that they were trying to conquer inside their own nation. But why did I say that? Yeah, so I had to include that inside the wars, that America is thrive on war. Without war, they have not been able to get power. Without colonization, they would have not been able to gain power. But I'm telling y'all study the Trail of Tears, y'all study or get into it, and I'm telling y'all the confidence, the Indian resistance, the Seminole resistance. Bro, I'm telling you, the Trails of Tears, and y'all could like good into Dan Calloway. Y'all could think I'm bullshitting and talking about how we Native Americans, because black people always said that. But the reason we said it because it was something in us that knew that shit. But even then, I did my history, and my people was in I think the South Carolina areas, which is also what is Charlemagne? He'd be saying he call himself a Guinea, the Guineas, the Guinea Islands and stuff like that, which is black people, and then even throughout, they were in that area somewhere. I could not remember exactly where, but they were the census during the time. Look into the census during those times. You will see where they were at, and you will see that they had to sign up for the American Trail. I mean, the Trail of Tears, and you will see where they were placed. Literally, my people was in this area. In the resistance or in the rebel shit with the Seminoles, with all these other people, and they got moved. Now you can say they lumped black people into it, but why did they lump black people into the Trail of Tears? Because they at that rate, all of them was looked at as the same. All these minorities or whatever are looked at as the same. Now they tried to categorize us as mulattoes, Creole, black. They came up with these new terms and labels so we wouldn't identify with our old tribes and nations anymore, which was so deadly because, like I just said, black has no history, but brown has so much. And even then, black has history. That's me just trying to make a point. Black has a lot of history, if we being honest. But even then, brown has a lot of more, especially in recent day. But Native American resistance, the Black Hawks. See, I don't remember the Black Hawks. The Illinois State Militia. So this was even in the North. Federal troops response with 4,000 soldiers. Like and it wouldn't even be close. They'll bring 450. Like, for this, so I give an analogy. They'll bring this many soldiers in and they'll leave with like 300. Just like when 300 or the Alamo, in a sense, like they'll come with all these soldiers, but the fact that we're in this good is we're such connected. We're so connected to our territory and put ourselves in a good point that it's almost impossible for you to get to us. And it's gonna take a lot more of y'all than it is we're gonna lose of us because we put ourselves in a good spot. So it's just like when they go into the hoods and then the hood fight back and they like, oh, we can't go in the hood no more because it's just too corrupt. Then they gotta get military or something like that. But even then it be so much. They call it the no police zone. Like, well, police don't even go in there no more because it get to a point where You can arrest people and shit like that, but bro, you can't. It's too many people, and everybody looks like your enemy. So, you gonna lose more numbers trying to deal with them and trying to bring them down in a sense. And there's many examples, even with the Alamo. And I know that ain't got nothing to really do with us, with brown people in that, with Hispanics, but with them trying to get through the Alamo, it was like 300 versus thousands. That's the same story of the Spartan, and we see how putting yourself in a strategic place can literally lead to almost winning a war, let alone having numbers. So, and just imagine if they didn't have to stay in the Alamo, and if they was able to be in, like, the Alamo ain't really have no trees and shit like that. So imagine if they had better like land, if they were like on a mountain or something like that. It'd have been even more easier for them. Imagine if they had just even more stuff around them. It'd have been even harder for the Mexicans to get in there. And we even seen how hard it was for them with the Alamo walls being damn near broken. And the Alamo wall, just think about it like that. If the Alamo walls were say 80% the strength of when they really was created or originally created, they probably would have won that war. Literally, they was fighting with half the walls down. They literally had to let the Mexican armies just come in, and it's just like the Civil War, and that's crazy. Or not Civil War, just like with Thanos versus them in Wakanda. They let them all come in at one. I know I got to kind of relate movies so y'all make more sense for some people. They literally had to let them all come in one front, because if not, they would get surrounded. So it was better to let them come in at one point, because the walls wouldn't hold up if they, regardless or whatever. So yeah, if they had stronger walls and a stronger foundation and boundaries, or even more people, bro, the odds would have been so much in their favor. Just like how it was in our favor for 300 years it took them. And even then, to this day, they still trying to get us out of here, and they won't. They can't. Our numbers keep bouncing back, no matter what they try to do. And look at all these nations, bro. Look at the beauty in that. Now, and the only reason I say I hesitate to say that as well, the beauty, is because these people was fighting each other as well. This shit wasn't perfect. Some of these people were in half, like the Creek Indians versus, I think, like the Chickasaws or some shit. It was one of these. Literally had like a 400-year war, but that was also due to British helping and some other sauce and stuff like that. But we weren't perfect then either. So I won't sit up here and act like we have to just go back straight to these times and things like that, because ultimately we lost our power. We got to even be better than when we were there in these times. And we can, because like I said, the numbers that we had was only 7 or 14 million. It took them 300 years to wipe us out. If we can get anywhere like the numbers of Asians, come on, bro. They gotta respect our name. It was 2 to 17 million. At the high, 18 million. $48 million, $44 million. I put Hispanics. Hispanic. All right. 52 million. So if we put 52 million without 44 million, we up there. And stop trying to fight each other. See, 3.8 million. And damn, that's a lot. That's a lot of fucking people. But their numbers are still dwindling. And even then, a lot of those numbers are coming to our side. A lot of these numbers are not interested in colonizing us. So when we look at that number, 308, bro, we didn't have that many numbers, and we seen how powerful we were. So if we get to that type of number with the type of influence that we already have on the world, bro, there's no coming back to this poverty or level or states of poverty or rate of poverty that we have in our nation, or for black people, or the black nation, or even Hispanic nations, minority nations, which is I would group them all together. Yeah, we have a little different plight, but a lot of them hoes stem from the same root of the same problems. These people. But let's be real. And even past that, we had some light skin, dark skin problems that we need to get rid of. From as far as, because even inside the Hispanic community, let's be real, y'all don't like dark skinned Hispanics. Y'all treat them worse than y'all treat light skinned Hispanics. Why? Because y'all like to say y'all Latinas, and then we can get back into this. Y'all like to say y'all Latinas, or y'all like to say y'all Spanish, and that's because y'all resonate with y'all colonizers more than y'all roots. So that's something that y'all have to check, just like black people have to check. It's no different. I see it in the white community. I mean, I see it in the Hispanic community a lot more because they love to say it. But look at Spain colonization. I know I can't spell, y'all, so leave me alone. Spain colonization. All right. Obviously, we know Spain not on this side of the world. Obviously, we know that. But they colonized Mexico. They damn near colonized more of an area than the British did. But nobody ever talk about that. Why? Because them niggas powerful. You better not speak against them Spaniards. I ain't gonna lie to you. Them niggas got power. Them niggas got power for real. So they got oil and all that shit like that in these areas for sure. Or used to. Well, not these. I'm sorry. Looking at the dates. But even then, this still ran by a lot of Spain. Or the kids and sons of Spaniards. And we already said, white Hispanic people resonate more with the Spaniard side of them, which are their colonizers. Just like how we got white colonizers. Y'all white colonizers just so happen to speak Spanish. Our white colonizers so happen to speak English. Neither one of those was our native tongue. For the people that used to be, before Spaniards came, y'all had, what, it's a Trinidad, whatever language y'all spoke there, whatever the Aztecs spoke. We all had different languages, just like Native Americans had different languages. Like we didn't speak, even for Africans, we didn't speak English. We didn't know, like, if you say we African, we didn't speak. If you talking about slaves, Africans didn't speak English. If you talking about the Native Americans didn't speak English. If you talking about the people that was before Hispanics, which would be other Native Americans, they didn't speak that shit. Just Native South Americans. It just sounds different when you when you add these. But these are the Americas. So yeah, all Native Americans did not. We weren't even Native American because this shit wasn't America. That's the funnier part about it. We weren't even Native American. We were just natives to whatever these lands was and whatever the cultures was at the time. So even saying Native Americans is fucking flawed because this shit wasn't called America until white people came around. Like, let's be honest. Same with Africa. So calling us African is also flawed as well. But that's just a lack of understanding inside of our history. So we know where Spain at, right? I don't have to show. Oh, I want Spanish. I should look up Spanish Empire. Map, timeline, one of those. I want to do timeline. It'll hit home a little bit better. All right, so Holy Roman Empire. See, a lot of this shit, like I said, Rome was just, a lot of this shit was coming right off the religious crusades and shit, and was like, all right, we're gonna go into the state principles, but they still took a lot of the religious shit. But all right. But yeah, Spain had a lot to do with religion, because even the Bible, the Bible was only written in Latin for the longest time before they started to translate it. So knowing that, a lot of the religious aspects and us being even colonized with that religious principle, because we all had our religious beliefs, from Native Americans believing in multiple gods. I don't know what the South Americans believed in, but they had their own gods. They worship the sun, they worship whatever. So the Spaniards is a reason why we even you could say even in more of a crux of being colonized in the mind, because of the religion that they pushed on us. Because yeah, like I said, even then with the Spaniards, they had it in Latin, and Latin was the language for people of education. Latin was for people of elites that had a higher just a higher life or whatever in the totem pole. So whenever a person needed to get religious texts, they had to go through these people to get it, just like how we do now. The Bible is written in code and shit like that. So if you really want to break down that code, you have to go through somebody else or do a lot of fucking research, which is still through other people, before you can get a perspective for yourself. So knowing that, it's some of the same problems that they had even before. So when they did finally decide to convert the language over from Latin to English and other Spanish and all that, first of all, that was flawed, because language just don't completely translate. We see how that's flawed. And then they also recoded it to having their own like I said, undercoatings and undertext where, or in between the lines that you will have to go through and get even more adept knowledge besides just reading it on a surface level. That's why they put it in symbolism. They put it in metaphor. Even then, that makes it easier, but that still makes it kind of complicated as well because nobody tells you that it's a metaphor for deeper things. They just really let you believe a nigga parted the seas and they was talking about a sea and not the mind. And even if it was a real sea, he was still talking about his mind as well because you can't can't part a sea without using your mind. So whatever. Yeah, so like I said, even with the Spaniards and in South America, a lot of the reason that y'all hold on to that so much is because of the colonization, and it's hard for y'all to let that go because y'all don't know y'all history. Like, we talk about our history being undercover for us. You gotta think a lot of these are still third world countries, and when I say third world, just don't have the technology advances or libraries, and they're not focused on education as much as the working class. Versus America's trying to get into that education lane where we're trying to become a smart nation. I just don't see how. Just being funny, but they don't have the privilege to get a lot of the information. So what I'm saying is they were able. They're like. Their leaders remain powerful. Let's just be real. Like Santa Anna and people like that, like, bro, them niggas had powerful armies that was like just like Genghis Khan, and now we still see it being held by like I said, the new kids of these nations and terrorist organizations would be like I said, ISIS, and then you get these what's these niggas names that be making millions like Jeff Bezos, but they do drugs. What's the nigga name? Pablo and all these Escobars and shit like that. So these are still kings. Them niggas still got mean empires that America don't even be trying to fuck with. So even though we may say these places are corrupt, they're still corrupt, man, still have a lot of power. They still have a lot of power. Even with Venezuela still got a lot of power. It's the least eating all the money up. Not Venezuela. One of these areas up here is hella corrupt right now. And the people like, bro, y'all gotta let some of the money go. But the least keep doing deals with the rich people and keeping the money from the poor. But it's still money there. It's still power. It's just all up on the top. So it's the same here. All these places have very powerful influence of people, as far as the cartel, as far as oil, as far as whatever. Even to a point where America don't be trying to go into that shit. So. Cause it's different. They don't live by the same rules we live by. You go in there and trying to fuck with the cartel, nigga, they killing. They just how we seen it. They were like, bro, y'all gonna let our nigga go? We gonna shoot up the whole cities. We just gonna start fucking up civilians. We don't have codes and ethics out here. So even America don't be trying to do too much, trying to go in here too much, cause it's hard to get out of these places. That's like a Vietnam. Like, these places are still powerful. They're just corrupt in a sense, but there's still a lot of power in these places. But the reason I say that is because of the power kind of stayed in the same places as far as these elite people, and they moved into the drugs and shit like that. Same with these kings. Like, Santa Ana was probably pushing weight. A lot of these niggas was pushing weight, and that just led into them being cartel people over time. Those are the sons of the Santa Anas and shit like that. The only reason I say Santa Ana because that's the only Mexican history I know. I'm sorry for Hispanics out here. I'm pretty sure there was many other empires and dudes out there after him or even before him that was more powerful. But I'm sorry that I don't know anything else besides that. But I'm just giving an example. So yeah, even then, these places are very powerful. But the reason I even brought that up is because it's still the Spaniards in the sense that hold all that power. And still control a lot of that corruption and shit like that, and they never really gave it up, and people never really got free. You gotta think, as far as young women and young kids, as far as selling themselves or having to participate in gang violence, way younger. When we talk about Chicago being a place of just 200 people got shot a day, don't talk about places in Mexico. Don't talk about places in South America. Those are way more deadlier places. Way more deadly place. And I'm not saying that to say, America's different or better. I'm just saying it to say how even more corrupt these places are and how hard it is for them to change or even find information or knowledge or wisdom because of who's been holding it away from them. And basically, America's been a lot more easier. And it go to my boy D-Friend and what he say, really, when we look at these other places, where would you rather live? America, we could, like I said, we could finesse America a lot better than we can finesse these people. Because the cartel, like, they don't play games. They just cut your head off. America, they give you 3 strikes. Cartel don't give you 3 strikes. I even say that. Let's be real. You fuck over against the cartel, they're cutting your head off. They're cutting your dick off. You fuck up in America, they give you probation. They give you 10 months. So you even in America, you get way more chances than dealing with these people. So I just say that to say it's harder for these people, and I see why they so stuck on that Latin shit, because that power dynamic never transferred over. Like, and the reason why is because how they moved from the jump was a lot different. Spaniards was a lot more shiesty in the way that they moved as far as their domination. Even with Aztecs and shit, them niggas was willing to sacrifice shit. Them niggas they weren't playing about that shit. So yeah, I would say just how we were savages or considered savages or couldn't be fucked with, and we were very hard to deal with in the Florida area and even other parts of South America. In the South, in America, North America, it's just I've been talking about South America. I don't want to get stuff confused, but yeah, the Seminoles dominated, and we didn't live by those same bullshit games, and we live by action, not by words. And white people, they live by words. They got the tongue of Satan, the synagogue of Satan. Their tongue is so masterful. They're able to get out of things. They're able to they rather play a game than go straight to war. But even though their game is war, and that's where it gets distorted, because they could be passive aggressive in your genocide, and you think they're good and on your side because they're passive aggressive and saying, "Oh, we're helping you." Whole time they're against you. Whole time they got the knife on your back. So it's hard to deal with them. It's hard to why would that go into why would we want to even try to play with them as far as voting and stuff like that? Because we see how them niggas are masters at playing those type of games and never getting shit done. Versus like a cartel nigga, bro, we not playing with y'all. We're not playing with y'all. Y'all gonna respect this. You're gonna live by our laws, and if you don't follow that, or even you start if you even tread the line of that shit is iffy, we're cutting their heads off. Think about what Scarface did to his own friend for fucking with his sister. We don't even do that as a nation for our people. Our people get shot, we don't have that same response. We gotta have that savage mentality of we're at y'all house. Ain't no talking, cause y'all too good at that. We gonna show y'all what we good at. We good at action, y'all good at talking. If y'all don't want to see our action, y'all better stop talking. Y'all better start doing some action. Let's be real, because when we come to action, we see it in sports, you see it in entertainment, you see we got effects with our action. When we put our mind to it, black people gonna do it. We ain't gonna talk, we gonna do it. So same with, like I said, the Scarface. Same with we got different mentalities on how we move. When you cross us forever. That's what my K-Ray just said the other day. I know I get the principle in that. No cap. I get the principle in that. But yeah, it's different with these white colonizations and things like that. They gonna like. For instance, they're gonna talk shit. They're gonna talk shit, back you in the corner, and then when you big up and you puff your chest out, they're gonna act small. They're gonna be like, "Why you attacking me?" They're gonna start playing victim, and they keep playing that. They keep playing that game where they push you in the corner, push you in the corner, push you in the corner until you react, and then they ease up off you. So you never can really B.O.B. say they boot off our neck just a little bit, and that gets confusing because we like, is this change? Is this growth? Is this a form of love? When we start to sympathize with our oppressors, because it's like, oh damn, they gave us just a little bit of breath. Damn, that must be some type of positive thing behind that. And the reason we feel that way because we was in the corner for so long, we got the tension eased off of us. We can breathe now. Shit feel better, and that feel more comfortable. So we hold on to that. And we keep getting back into that same cycle where we're gonna hold on to that, then they push us in the corner, and we like, man, y'all racist, y'all this, y'all that. And then when we start looking for change and action, they start easing up. Oh man, we ain't fucking with it. We on y'all side, we with y'all. So now it's like, well, ain't nobody gonna take action, cause it ain't no problem no more. And then once we start going back and trying to do our life, they back us in the corner, and we keep doing that shit. And it's a bullshit ass game. That's why I was like, bro, I could never ever fix my energy up to vote. Cause it's like, bro, you playing a game with people that's been doing this for too long. They were doing this shit in Britain. They were doing this shit in 300. Think about it. Think about the Roman 300 or the Spartan 300. Them niggas went to war with the idea that they were going to have reinforcements. But the old elders inside the Spartans didn't like how Spartacus or whatever dude name went about it. I forgot his name. How he went about sending his people out there, so they didn't send the reinforcements as fast as they could have. Like they'll play these games. It's like that's not something you would do. That would threaten your nation immediately. But they had to deal with the Persians. They was getting Persian money. So they had a little benefit in letting the king that's go hard, letting him fall. And then we start to do things our way with the Persians, not realizing the Persians gonna really go against you. You ain't like how Spartacus, I'm gonna use his name, you ain't like how he went about it. You really not gonna like how the Persian nigga go about it. What was his name? I forgot the nigga that act like a god. Damn, I'll be knowing his name. It don't matter. But you really not gonna like how the Persians treat you once they really get in control. So you go, that's what happened. Like Nipsey had the quote, he was like, I could never handcuff and maces, what the nigga say, dumb cultures, cause our culture's contagious, third generation culture, but he was basically saying I could never realize what could lead to you turning it against the niggas that put us in chains, basically. And it's because of they give you a little bit of freedom. They give you a little bit of bread. They back you out of that corner a little bit and be like, hey, look at the potential that you can grow now that we took you out this corner. That person gets greedy. And now he's like, oh, damn, I'm gonna work with y'all now. Not realizing that the person that was his real leader, that was Spartacus, never would have put him in that corner in the first place. You just didn't 100% like your rules and regulations and maybe how he may have went about things, but he wasn't backing you into a corner. He wasn't backing you into a corner. So yeah, a lot of times we feel like we see a little glimpse of success and that little bag it'd be a big bag, but it'd be a temporary bag, especially when you realize you're going against your people. The bag don't be nowhere near worth it. You be damn near ready to kill yourself after you see what you done. You be ready to get a bag back. But here we go. Look at what Spain was able to do. Look what Germany was just learning from Europe. Germany was just learning from Genghis Khan. Germany was just learning. So this is what happened. These white people were able to colonize so much. They colonized all this, and then after they colonized this over time, they were able to take over the world. Once they took over this, which was all the black population and some more shit, which was here too, you just can't take over that. It's just too much. It's hilarious how they can't, because this was our mass population. You talk about 14, 17 million here, 14, 17 million here, billions. Ain't no way, like, you can get up here, you can take a little bit of this, you can take a little part of Africa, but once you get deep in there, some people, Interpol and shit like that, they had little success. Don't get it twisted, but ultimately, you can't never completely get rid of the black people here. It's just too much. It's too big. It's impossible. But here, the numbers wasn't as high. Numbers wasn't as high because this place wasn't as cultivated yet. Black people was here, Native Americans was here, but not as much as here yet. Because we didn't have the technology and things like that to just keep pushing as many people here. But over time, as time progressed, they started taking over this land and build up a power that was so big it was able to take over the world. But now, just how they was taking over this area and was able to expand so much. Look how this one area expanded so much. We can do that same thing because we see how America's volatile. America's can fall at any moment. We can buy up all this bullshit. Same with Hispanics. We could take over because, bro, it ain't just us. It's everywhere. We got to stand up. And either it's the cartel or it's the Venezuelan corrupt ass government. But we got to stand up to all these false ass leaders that's been corrupting our nations. Even in Africa, it may not be a motherfucking governor. It may be a motherfucking gang lord. But that's who the politician is in that area. And that's who need to be checked. Because honestly, America's gang, the politicians' gang, cops are gangs. And these are no different. The cartels are just the new name. Terrorists is just the new name. Really, politicians is just the new name for terrorists and gangs and shit like that. Cops is just a new name for slave patrol, which is a new gang, or just was a new name for terrorists and shit like that. Because that's all they were doing was terrorizing us as a people. But they called it slave patrol. And then they called it cops. And then they called it politicians and judges. They just changed the label, but they're just another gang. So all the gangs and bad leadership needs to be wiped the fuck away. Be wiped the fucking way, and we can re-buy up this shit. And just how this small impact changed the world, these trash ass niggas changed the world for the worse. We talked about Germany. I ain't gonna lie to you. If I don't know what Hitler really was trying to do, but if Hitler was trying to get rid of this population that was taking over that eventually was leading the global domination, he was on to something. Cause look at it, these niggas did not stop. Only thing that's literally stopping them is their infighting and their infertility rates and their lack of health. If it wasn't for that shit, them niggas would keep going. But they're not holistic beings, so it's hard for them to keep that shit going. Even internally, they're gonna fall. That's really more they fall. But outside, external, they got all the external power. But a lot of the reason that they even falling is because of their own internal shit that they couldn't take care of. And expanding too much. They overexpanded as well. It's a couple of things that's gonna lead to this fall of these nations that's been around for 300-400 years. So I wanted to get through Spain, Rome and Russia and Britain. Those are pretty much still in play today. Russia and Putin and shit. That's just the sons of a bunch of fathers that's been around from Russia. Same with Spain, same with Britain. These last few empires are still around with still a lot of impact. So I would push British Empire. So from the 1700s to 2000s, they've been around 400 years. Russia's been from the 1600s to the 2000s. That's 400 years. Spaniards been around from 500 to the 2000s. They have the longest empire. And like I said, I feel like it. I was saying it felt like they had more power than Americans. And they really do. It's more Spaniards than Americans. Let's be honest. We know that with even with them in America, it's more of them almost in America. So that's not even equate how it is when we go further down into the South. So it's the same as Africa. It's no different. Just like this little area up here equates to this area here. Let's be honest, as far as the power and economic impact. Just like this Middle East, this Mediterranean Sea, as much economic power and war that go on here, even America participates in the war in this area, it has the same amount of power in America. As far as if we keep pushing down, we really couldn't get into these places. Even from Mexico, we couldn't even take over Mexico if we wanted. Let's be real. Because it's the same. The further you get, the more browner it is, and it takes time to genocide all those people. It takes time to recolonize all those people. Same with, like I said, they can do it. It's been done with certain religious principles and stuff like that. But ultimately, a lot of that shit is dying out. Is what I'm saying. But yeah, if you look at America, the further you get, the browner it is, and even in America, it's super brown. So the Spaniards, like I wasn't for sure, but even off the strength, the Spaniards have more of a crush on Hispanics and even have a lot of power in America. They want Spaniards out of America. We still fighting wars. We still fighting wars from motherfucking the 1500s. America's still trying to get Spain out of here. Ain't that crazy? They've been trying to do that since the 1500s with Florida. Like they were able to buy out the land and say this is our boundary, but they didn't get rid of the people. And Mexicans keep finding their way into America. Brown people, I ain't gonna say Mexicans. Brown people keep finding their way into America, and they want to close their border. And they haven't been able to do it for 500 years. People just been walking into America like, no, we're gonna start building our shit up here. You took it from us, but no, we're just gonna. That's what I see. So Spain, if they got rid of if Hispanics got rid of that white colonization and the white leadership, which would be the cartels and shit that's been in play for a minute, and other gang lords that's been in play for a minute, they really got a lot of power. Cause bro, think about how many Spaniards there is. There's colonized Spaniards there is. There's so many. They've been colonizing the Americans since the 1500s, and they still are. Even North America, Trump's still trying to build walls and shit to keep them out. Spain is on a boom. Spain is the most powerful country that we probably know. As far as population, at least on this side of the globe, I know China and Asians got it over there, but on this side, Spain and the brown people got it going. And even to this day, we still trying to keep borders closed, and I feel like that's hilarious because this has been a battle for the Americans for the longest, and they never really conquered America. They never conquered America how they want it. It got to a point where they seen the most potential. That's when they got the Native Americans into when they basically had slaves and then the trails. That was when they started singing pops because they were getting free labor. They was getting all this shit. They had control. But even then, they never had as much pop. They never had America fully in control. They never had America fully colonized. And even when they started to, which would be kind of now, we start to see their infertility numbers drop. So even when they have some of the highest number and some of the most power, we still see their decline is imminent. And we still see how they still never conquered us. And still see how they've been trying to close us off and start wars and shit like that. Even from Cuba and them like isolating themselves from Cuba, from the propaganda there. That shit didn't even work. They gotta reopen up their borders to Cuba. Because Cuba's so profitable. We can't even use propaganda against Cuba no more. They used us to go. We went against Cuba and we used the Cold War to go against Cuba. But we couldn't do that against all of Mexico. And even with cartel, we tried with the war on drugs. That was us trying to go at the cartels. That shit didn't work. We ended up just being more in the pockets of the cartels. They too equitable. They making way too much money. Them niggas are literally Jeff Bezos. Walking Jeff Bezos is in the cartel. We just don't give them their credit. But it don't matter when they already backed by all that other Spaniard money. So it don't matter what we think of them. No matter how much we say they're terrorist groups and shit like that, them niggas still got the same type of money as Jeff Bezos, even more. Cause they can't even admit how much money they got. Cause niggas gonna get mad, and probably Jeff Bezos too. That raised a good point. I'm sure Jeff Bezos not putting all them numbers in. Just like when I was a server, how much I made in tips? I made 100. I made 200 in tips. I only made 80. Only made 50. That's what I'm putting in the numbers. Why? Because I make more money in the long term doing it that way. If you're a server, you know that game. Same for Jeff Bezos. So it's same with these cartels. These niggas got Jeff Bezos money. These niggas got Microsoft money. These niggas got monies of nations. Them individual people got probably more money than certain small nations. So these people are rich as fuck and got a lot of power. And like even with our war on drugs, we tried to get in Mexico, South America. We tried to get in there, but it's too much jungle. That's why I brought up the jungle military or jungle militia. I can't think of the name, but during that time, they couldn't get in there. It was just too hard. If you look in snowfall and shit like that, they had a lot of these planes and shit coming out of these areas. The high cocaine go all throughout here. Same even when they went to Vietnam. Cocaine was all throughout there. But some of the same things. They fought like natives, and they were backed. And then America seen how profitable it was. It was like, bro, let's just work with them. We can't colonize Vietnam. Let's just work with them. Let's just take their opioids. Let's just work with their oil. Same with Arabs. We ain't gonna never take over them shits. They been there too long. Arab, I already showed how long Arab been in that area. We can't get rid of them. It's too late. They built too much of an empire. We see what Dubai and shit doing. That's just a reflection of how long they've been around. And now that America's starting to work with them, you're gonna see them pop even more. That's just the honest truth, because they got so much backing, and they literally, the only way we can get them out of there is by bombing them. And even then, it takes too much, because even then, it takes too much. It's too many mountains. It's too much desert. It's too much to hide. Why do you think it took them 15, 16 years to find Saddam Hussein and his other people? Why do you think it take forever for them to get rid of ISIS? Why do you think they haven't pulled our military out? And you can't win those wars. When you got a backing and your native people fighting like natives, it's impossible. So imagine if we started to stop being civilized with America and we started acting like natives and started and taking over our hoods, just like how we kind of do. Then take over our cities, where we got whole cities that being ran by us, and you already see that. Seattle, that's an example. They're not gonna get Seattle back in a sense. If Seattle, if people really came up with a plan, they wouldn't get Seattle back after they let that power go. So they pulling out of these companies, they pulling out of these cities and shit like that. These are our time to go in there and start building up. Let's be honest. They taking their cops and shit out. And once we start doing that, there's really no turning back. Because like I said, once we have a plan inside of a city, how can you stop us? Like I know we're gonna have some losses. Y'all gonna be able to bomb us, and that shit won't be fun. But as our numbers keep rising, it's gonna be less and less of that. But our power gonna keep rising. Like it's only so much longer they're gonna be able to bomb Middle East before them niggas start bombing back. Cause they getting their money up, they getting their equity up, And just how this little ass area was able to colonize that. This area that's so powerful with oil and all that shit, which is most of our industries are ran off of, they could literally collapse everybody right now if they wanted to. Hey, cut all that oil shit out. Now that's an act of war. Don't get it twisted. That's an act of war. But they literally could collapse our economy that our military and shit are built off of. So if you look at it like that, them niggas got so much power. That's why they only could get so shiesty with them. As far as the Americans only could get so shiesty with these Arab princes and kings and shit. Because at a certain rate, if we just cut this shit off, y'all niggas fucked. And I know, like I said, that's an act of war. But let's get into it. So yeah, let me just wrap up the colonization part and how empires fall, and then I'll go into America and their empire. So it may be a 2-hour video, but this is literally one of my best videos yet, if you ask me. So yeah, if y'all still tuned in, shit, good for y'all. Y'all really trying to dive in. But America bases. This shit crazy. Look how many bases we have. And I guarantee you, most of our bases are around credible resources. I don't like this map. It don't point it out as well. That's not, y'all not showing y'all global dominance enough for me. Y'all trying to be too humble. Really show me how y'all dominating. We got bases all in America, but all around the coast. Why? Because that's our most vulnerable places. But even then, who keep walking right in here? Like, somebody can walk in these borders immediately. These bases are the attempts at borders that we have, and even then, that shit's so much of a joke. They only got so much that they can protect. Like literally, a whole motherfucking organizations can come through here and just fuck up some shit. That's why Texas was so important. As far as the Battle of the Alamo and them trying to get America to be Texas, or Texas to be America, that was one of the biggest borders, and then California as well, because we know how California is also connected right here. Look at it. Look at that shit. Why are these bases right here, right at the border of Mexico, and then you obviously got Japan and China as well. And, but I'm just saying, like, you just tell right at the borders. Ain't no bases in Canada. Let's just be honest. What Canada bases at? So obviously it's some type of plight or wars that we don't pay attention to, or battles that we don't pay attention to. But Cuba was an example of that. But I'm trying to find military. That's probably what it is. American military. Like I said, I can't spell, y'all. Leave me alone. Okay. We'll just nitpick because it looks like all of them. It won't show me a whole map. But look at it. Look at our bases in America. I mean, it might as well be America. But look at our bases. All in the oil regions. So when as soon as Arab do something, we're bombing the fuck out them. Don't get it twisted. As soon as they start trying to mess with our oil, that's the reason we went there in the first place. They moved the oil from the dollar, and that collapsed our dollar. So once they did that, that was an act of war, and they've been trying to get in there and they've been trying to get that power from them ever since, because Arab has been literally owning this area. And if America get here, I think America probably would be a dominant for another 100 years. Let's just be honest. If America could get in here, which they're really trying their best to, they probably be dominant another 100 years, because then they really gonna fuck over China. So I bet China, along with the Arab, along with Russia, along with America, they all fighting for this land because it's so connected to everything. This land is like the heart. I know we're so far off of it, but all that oil, it's so much money right here. It's so much equity in trading. Either trading, as far as like China can go straight through here, through the Mediterranean Sea, straight to here. And it's a lot cheaper to go here. They even talk about with the canals and shit that's built, and it's profitable. It's a lot cheaper to go through here than to go other places. And these canals are making more and more money. So a lot of this shit is dealing with ports and shit like that. That's why you see a lot of ports and shit being blown up. That's where the war is at right now. So yeah, with this military, with the Mediterranean Sea and shit like that, as far as being trading, being in and out of with your ships and shit like that, you can control taxes, you can control wages through here, and then also along with the oil, and then also along with going inside of Africa. So it has so many different valuable points, and I feel like everybody's fighting for this. Everybody's fighting for this area right here because it's just so profitable in many different forms. So China, obviously, Russia got a say in that, and then America as well, and then whatever Spaniard countries that we're ignoring that we're not mentioning, because even the Spaniards still have power. We're just not realizing it for whatever reasons. And I just dropped my weed again, 2 days in a row. Well, let's look for some more bases. All right, we got 101 bases on the side of China, which is really in Japan and shit like that. Once we colonized Japan, once we forced that war upon Japan, we was able to get on the side of China and Russia and Korea, and you can imagine that they didn't like that. Also, we got another 309 bases on the other side of Russia, and also with our British Empire that we work with all the time. So you see how America's been slowly trying to colonize, because military bases is the new colonization. Your military is your new forces. You used to have your religions, you used to have your crusades, acts of genocide and acts of terror, but now it's the military, obviously. So when you look at the military and where their people at, their only focus is around the other nations that's against them, which is the Middle East. Look at that. Look at all these right here, just ready to be backed by us because they're right next to us, and then as well be pushed into here. Same here. We got forces here, but right here, China like, nah, there's a lot of the problem right here with a lot of, I know y'all don't really know, maybe not even care, but a lot of the new tension that's going on is dealing with a lot of this shit right here, in America trying to, they trying to say that nobody has ownership over it, but China's saying fuck that shit and claiming it, and America obviously trying to guilt trip them out of it, even though they'll do the same damn thing. That's why I say you can't fuck with America and how they talk. They'll come up with treaties and shit, and all these treaties are just ways to like get you to go to sleep and think they gonna chill. Whole time they scheming and sneaking their way up and trying to get the same things they stop you from getting. That's how it be. Whole time they like, hey, we're not gonna monopolize. We're not about monopolies and shit. Whole time they monopolizing the fuck out of the world. So, yeah, it just showed the global domination is really the colonization of the world, and if they're able to get that Middle East, I would say they'll push another 100 years. But I ain't gonna lie to you, but I think just how they bombing the fuck out of Middle East, I think it'll come to bombs before the whole world would come to bombs before they let America take that over. Because that's just too much. Like America and Russia hate America, China hate America, Spaniards, everybody hate America. So they don't want America getting any more power. And they know if America get that power, oh, it's on and popping. It's on and popping. America got another, just basically was signed. If they get this, they basically sign another contract for another 100 years of domination at minimum. But I think that this is this area is so tense. And many other problems dealing with shit so tense that niggas are willing to destroy everything before they let that happen. Because if they let that happen, literally Great Russia's gone, Great China's gone, everything that Genghis Khan has built is gone. Everything, all this shit that Russia's built is gone. All the Cold War and what they were able to attain during the USSR collapse is gone. Because once America get there, oh, you best believe it's gonna them 309 bases that's in Britain and Europe gonna be right along these borders. They're just gonna keep squeezing. Like I said, they're gonna keep backing China and Russia into a corner. You don't see the corner they backing them niggas into? And then when Russia and China say something, oh, they acting like terrorists. Oh, they acting like Cold War. When we the niggas that's putting everybody in corners. You literally can see how we backing the other powerful nations into a corner. And then when they finally say something, we be like, oh, y'all acting crazy. They trying to commit wars of terror when we the ones doing it the whole time. Look at this shit. I guess I'm not doing it justice because I'm not pulling up the bases everywhere else. But I ain't gonna lie to you, America got the most money spent. It ain't nowhere near close. If we look at the Asian bases or Chinese bases or Russia bases, we spent so much money on military and colonization, it wouldn't even be close. It wouldn't even be close. And even then, America would not even dare let China build some shit in Cuba. They'll blow Cuba up so goddamn fast. America would why you think we ain't got shit in China? I mean, why you don't think we got no bases? We got bases out here, 96 bases here. Why? Because that's important for a lot of our shit is dealing with preventing another Pearl Harbor in a sense, quote air quotes, because they let that shit happen. This stopped Eastern Seaboard attacks, but why they don't have as many here? Because they're not. This is not a threat. This is an ally. And America, that 6,000 bases control this. That 6,000 bases, they only need one base in Canada. Why? Because they got that shit in check. Why they only need one in Greenland? Because they got that shit in check. They don't need to keep these people in check. They already America's bitch. Look at it. Why would they need bases here? What would be the point of putting a base here when y'all already colonized all that? Y'all already cornered these niggas a long time ago. When coming out of here, y'all was working on cornering these niggas. Cause y'all started with the 13 colonies. And then y'all slowly worked y'all way through America. Bam, 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 bam. Same here. Y'all worked y'all way from here and slowly cornered till y'all had all of that shit taken. So there's no reason to put bases there for sure. So let's go here. You're gonna have bases protecting that, but ain't no bases protecting this shit. Why? Because nigga, if you even try, you're considered a terrorist and you're wiping off the face of the earth. I know that, like I said, we got the cartel and shit, but they're already there and they're not really a threat. And America working with them niggas. So I already talked about that. I already cleared that up. These terrorist groups and shit, America work with. They receiving that Jeff Bezos tax money, if anything, from them cartels. Because that's what the cartels are allowed to keep playing and without going throughout war and shit like that. And being, bro, they basically got to pay their dues. That's all the cartel got to do. They pay dues to America now. At first, they was at war with America with the war on drugs and shit. But America saying that wasn't profitable. It was more profitable to work with these niggas. And now they just make them pay dues. That's about it. But they're still terrorist acts on the people of these areas and shit like that. But as far as America and Spaniards concerned, they work together. Same within Europe. They've been working together for the longest because I just showed it. My bad, wrong one. I just showed it. This was European and Spaniard all throughout here. So they was already working together and building with each other for a long time. So when they came here, they went their separate ways. America went up north, south. The South Americans went down south, and they still battled as a friendly competition for power. But overall, America, like I said, they work with each other. They work. The Americas work with each other. Literally, they called the Americas. But one eventually that we have they pay dues to us, and if South Americans ever get powerful, we would pay dues to them just because it's more profitable to just pay dues to each other than go to war with each other. Because if we go to war with each other, if any of these companies really it is like that, because those are the new, like I say, those are the sons of these new terrorist groups and organizations. If any of these new nations or corporations decide to help during these civil war, you'll instantly be wiped out. Same way, that's what happened with the 400 war with the Creek Indians and shit. They were divided, and all it took was one side to come in and help the other side, and now that took away their power, and now they're gonna start working the corner in the people they helped. And now you have no power, and you signed treaties and even got funded and backed by them. So now you almost obligated to give a little back to them as well. So same here. Like if we was to go to war with the Americans over time, these corporations could get in here and fund one or the another, and that would not lead. It'll be unbalanced. So a lot of times we just try to pay dues to each other and keep things as kosher as possible because that keeps them more protected. Same with Russia and China. Russia and China could go to war with each other, or Russia and Japan could go to war with each other. But even I know Japan is a part of it, but or South Korea is a part of already giving up their colonization to America. But these nations are in their best interest to work with each other, even though they may not like each other because of previous wars and battles that they had, obviously, and attempts on trying to expand. But literally, if one of those decides to start working with America gonna colonize one of these and slowly start to corner them whether they're in China or Russia, and they're gonna slowly colonize and keep circling these people until there's no more power here in this area. So looking at America, I know people talk about I talk about America falling. I don't think America's gonna be able to expand anymore without reaching turmoil. And that's how I see that inside of America. I don't see, it's only so much bigger that Jeff Bezos and these corporations can get. It's only so much these elites can expand the gap of wealth from the middle class and us before we say something. or before we buck back. And I say the same thing in America for these other nations. These other nations only gonna let America expand so much before they feel like, hey, nah, y'all cornering us too much. And the reason I bring in cornering, if you look at the art of war, you never want to corner anybody. You never want to corner anybody. Even that act of cornering just shows that you don't even follow the principles of the art of war, because you're going against yourself. You're greedy. Putting people in the corner is an act of greed. There's no reason that America needs to expand this much. Tell me why America needs to expand this much. If instead of just working with these people, because we already trade, we already work with these people, but why do we have to gain all the power? It ain't like it's not enough just working with them. And you can say maybe these other places and try to invade and do shit like that too. But as I said, it's bad leadership everywhere. Because we could literally just keep working with each other. Instead of literally, like, why do we have to spend this much money on bases when we got so many hoods fucked up? We could be more. Look, let me kick y'all this. And I'll probably be done after this. If we were able to put all these bases inside of hoods in the sense of reshape our refund and really defund the military and change that funding into things inside the hood, because what we're doing is we're trying to achieve global dominance to have more equity, more capital, more resources, more of a foundation to where we can't fall. But ultimately that's also flawed, because the more you expand also can weaken your foundation. Sometimes expanding is like false imagery or an illusion of growth, because you think you're expanding the whole time you're weakening your base, because you're forgetting about your foundation. You so interested in conquering these other people, you forgot about these people here. So let's go back to these people here. So imagine if you did start taking care of these people, and say you took away 70 to 80% of these bases and started putting that money back into America. I think America would grow so much faster and so much more profitable. And I said think, but I also ultimately probably know it. Because the amount of resources and industries that we could build up if we just put all our industry and all our big funds into ourselves and into innovative and healthy spaces. If we grew if we cultivated the black community, if we cultivated the Hispanic community, if we cultivated the Asian community that's already cultivated, if we even gave more money to the Jews that's already cultivated, and it wasn't the survival of the fittest in a sense. I know that's a fairy tale world, but imagine if we had billions and trillions of dollars coming back into our economy that was being flipped into our economy versus trying to conquer others. It takes too much to eat. Like, okay, so this is what I'm saying. We already have economy. We already have people that's trying to grow. You work and build those people up. I think the equity and the growth and potential that you will see will be so much more tremendous than trying to colonize somewhere. So basically, depopulate or how do you say? Basically, make it a third world country by like how they bomb Gaddafi. They basically they pull the government down that's in that area. So now you're taking down those governments. So now not only are you doing that, see, that's the thing. All right, I finished my thought. They do that. I forgot what they call that when they basically fuck up the zones or fuck up the area by fucking up the people that's leaders. So they do that. So now you got to recome with new economics, new government, new politics. Like, you got to rebuild that whole nation up that you now had tore down. Like, that's a lot more effort and a lot more funding than just building that what we already got up. Like, we're so worried about expanding, like that's growth. But then I would go to the example of Wakanda. Like, Wakanda was growing. Like, I know it's a small example, but it's a real example. It really is a real example. You could grow so much better if you just focused on yourself. And the reason I say the flaw in their expansion and the illusion is in their growth is because they'll go into these countries and then they don't build these countries back up. They just take the resources. And it's like you inflate the market almost when you do it like that, because it's not done with balance. You basically just pillaged and raped that place, and now that place is no longer valuable, that you basically destroyed because you bombed the fuck out of it or you took all of his, you stripped all of his resources. So now it's no longer even. It's like they're not even really trying to build the real economy. They're just trying to strip the resources. They don't give a fuck about actually being in China. They just want what China got. And once they get all of that, they good. And they don't mind if China go back to being a third world country. But then it's like, well, who we gonna trade with when we start going through problems? If we're gonna, cause like we act like we create, when we look at our products and shit, it don't say America made on everything. So if we make everywhere a third world country, who gonna start building? Who gonna make our shit? Like I know we go to China because it's close to a third world country, how they treat their people. But imagine if there's no more leadership in China. You can't use those people for cheap labor anymore. Like I'm just saying, like I know that's how I like that, honestly. But I'm saying that's like when you when you just fuck over, like say you go into China, you fuck over China. Now, yeah, you get free slaves and free labor, but they're uneducated, so they only can do so much. You're not like really trying to grow these people, so it's only so much that you can even like cultivate out of it after you strip the land away. Because you're not invested in growing these people, just like you're not invested in growing America. These are all temporary fixes. I guess I'm saying, and the better fix was to put all our money inside of America. And of course, I know we should be able to trade and do things with other people, but not to a point where we got to have bases like that. Like literally, we're the cause of all the tension. We're cornering everybody that's powerful, and then wonder why they so tense. We're threatening their survival. And then y'all the ones talk about they literally, and then we the ones say that, or not we, but white people literally say that they shit getting taken up, that their kingdoms in threat of being taken away. Nigga, y'all the ones causing all the tension. Y'all gonna be the reason y'all get eradicated, cause y'all haven't learned no lessons. And at one point or another, somebody gonna be like, nah, we gonna be the big bad wolves now, and y'all don't like to listen, and y'all gonna really stub y'all toe. Y'all gonna get your whole foot cut off. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's gonna be more than that. Cause y'all gonna meet the big bad wolves. Y'all waking them up. Y'all like that's the problem with cornering people. You keep cornering them till they get so enraged that they have nothing to lose. And as black people, we have nothing to lose. We getting there more and more. We have nothing to lose. This comfortability, this society that we think we have, or this growth that we thought we had in America, it's being shown that was an illusion. So the more y'all put us in the corner, the more and more we get upset. And it's the same with China and Russia and all these other nations. There's only so much you can back us in the corner before we have nothing to lose. And when we have nothing to lose, you have everything to lose. And when I know those odds, for some people that may not understand odds, that mean the odds really all in our favor, because it's only up from here and it's only down for you. You capped out. You matched your prime. And that's why I say I feel like America been did that. I can give them little caveats and see how they maybe can expand a little bit longer. But even then, that's temporary. When I look at the long-term domination, they're losing it. They're out of their prime. And the more we become smart to their games, the less they have, the less power they have. So they backed us into a corner where things were so unbalanced that they can't even hold that power anymore. That's why they got to re-stimulate the economy. That's why they got to redo a lot of this shit. Because they fucked it up so much. And then even when they refix it, it's temporary. It's a bailout. It's not real growth. It's not real narratives to fix shit. So when we go in the Middle East, we're just trying to get the oil. Once all that oil gone, fuck the Middle East. But guess what? That just hurt your economy. Because Middle East was making sure they shit stayed balanced. They made sure supply and demand stayed balanced, because if you take all of it out, now we lose all our reason. We don't have no backing. So we got to make sure that we it's a commodity. We got to make sure that it's not leaving too much. If we produce too much of it at once, it becomes invaluable. If there's too many diamonds or gold on the market, it's invaluable. So the Middle East, they try to structure their imbalances as much as possible to a point where they can keep their longevity and their resources and their nation thriving as long as possible. But if America go in there and bomb everything up and then strip all the shit away, Saudi Arabia, the Arab nation, no longer would ever have power again, because America not gonna work with them. They're gonna strip that shit and be done. It's gonna be right back to desert land. All that what we seen of Saudi Arabia, that's just gonna be one glimpse of what they could have potentially kept becoming. My mouth so damn dry all this talking. Ooh, I should have been checked to see if we were still recording. That would have been a lot of hurt. I know I ain't got that much. I think I got a lot of data. I'm thinking about my phone that don't got that much storage. Yeah, I deleted my games and shit on here, so y'all got more storage. So yeah, this is New Crusades, man. This the New Crusades. New Crusades, man. And these are the different denominations. Some people feel that, some people won't. That's really for military people. They may feel that more than anything. But these are the little groups. These are the little things they ride by. These are this is their logo, their tribe, their base, or their I forgot what they call their segment of groups or whatever. They got bases and they got sections inside the bases and shit like that. And these are the different sections inside these bases. And each one has their own principles and morals and how they kind of they all have their fight song. They all have their school pride. Each one of these. So that's why I say denominations, but they all for the same cause. Christianity movement. Look at the crosses. They in there. Some of the same crusade, some of the same flags and things that they used during crusades. Very similar. Very similar. But that's getting into branding and getting into labels and seeing how a lot of the shit has been just moved on. Even flags got crosses and shit like that, or and religious interpretations that you can pull from them. Not all of them, but most of them have some type of every flag is some type of representation of its people. So even with these flags are going to be have some type of representation of the foundations they came from, whether it was Christian, whether it was whatever. So yeah, man. Military bases, red. What's this say? Countries hosting U.S. troops, countries hosting U.S. bases and troops. So American soldiers are everywhere. That's crazy, right? My bad, I'm yelling. American soldiers are everywhere. That's off the bat. Now our bases are even more. They got 143. What's that? Okay. Look, they got 143 total. We have a million. Asian, they only got 90,000. That's why it's in their best interest to stay together. It's in their best interest to stay together because America's so fucked. But I would say these numbers are skewed because they have so many people. And there's so much land. So think about how hard it was for them to get into Vietnam and how small Vietnam is, or even how small North Korea is. And it's hard to get there because there's so much land, or it's so much forestry. It's not clear plains. So it's hard to just, like I said, that jungle militia, it's hard to hone in on them because they can always move and shit like that. So yeah, they might only have 90,000, but when you talk about their land and how they will be able to navigate their land and keep you always keep you moving, always keep you using your resources just off just moving your locations, it'll be hard to eventually you will probably lose a lot more than you can gain. Like, yeah, China will probably ease up off its borders and maybe push back into Russia a little bit, but like I said, the more you corner them, the more resilient they can just keep becoming, because they're, like I said, it's a science and understanding how populations expand and how people band together against other, or as far as how treaties and how nations become allies and things like that. Or the reasons why they even go against each other, or they allies sometimes. But it would be no reason for them to go against each other, because literally that would be against their plight. But look at it. So look at China. We talked about the Mongols and how basically China and Russia, all this was basically started from Genghis Khan and shit. So this is the heart. This is where they started, and then they expanded. And after they expanded, this is where they were able to leave their boundaries. Through war and through many different things, they were able to keep these boundaries. Yeah, so even looking at this, if China was to push back, they will still have the area of Mongol, and we seen how they were able to dominate out of this small area. We seen how that was dominant. So even when you push them out of there, their numbers are going to be more in one space, along with probably mountains and some more shit that you get more when you push up. So it's a lot of shit. And then when you get into Russia, it being cold, it being a lot of fucking, like, you got to travel hundreds of miles before you even get to a big city. Thousands of miles before you get to a big city. And that's a lot of resources you got to use to get into these places in these nations. So Russia, they just set up shop up in the middle. Yeah, they may risk losing all of this, but they still got their heart. And in the fact that they got their heart, they can easily start expanding more and more, because this shit here is just gonna, yeah, you're gonna have bases and shit as far as America if they was able to get in here, but it wouldn't have cities and shit built up yet. They wouldn't have nations built up yet, and they would still be overexpanded. So Russia would just have to regather their population, regather their army, and reinforcements, and start pushing back before they kick America out. Like I said, it's the same thing that happened with Vietnam. It's the same. I love war and shit like that, and reinforcements and retreating, because retreating was always looked at as a form of weakness, but some nations is literally one war of just retreating the whole time. A lot of, even in Russia, that was one of their things. They literally retreated the whole time when Napoleon and them tried to come in, because of it was just so much treacherous shit that they had to go through, and that literally the reason they lost the war. It's more than just about how many forces and numbers you got. It's also about your location. It's also about the weather, a lot of that shit. Because literally retreating is such a good tactic when you stay in such a land like this, that will cause you to use so much of your resources, it wouldn't even be profitable no more to try to even colonize it no more. So like I said, even we've seen that happen with Vietnam, and that was such a small area. We can't even get North Korea, and those are small areas. So which is even more deadlier if you ask me, because it's just they really already in the corner, and they're gonna do whatever they can to stay out of it. But yeah, so even with the Alamo, they did the same thing after the Alamo, with Sam Houston and stuff. They retreated from Santa Ana for at least like 30, like for a month or so. Probably a little longer than that, and they kept retreating, and they kept tiring out the Mexican army, because you gotta think these Mexican armies have to travel. They're away from home, they're away from family, they're away from food, they're away from their foundation, so they get tired the longer and longer they're out there. And Santa Anna kept pushing forward and more into the territories, and they just kept, and then it got to a point where he split his army up, and once he split them up, it was over. He was like, we're gonna divide them here and there, because they got tired of chasing them. He was like, all right, it led to them being impatient, and then that was it's checkers, not chess. And sometimes retreating is one of the best causes you're gonna ever have, especially when you're dealing with powerful forces. Sometimes stalling is shit. We all know we all stalled before, and how profitable that became temporarily. How that could buy you more time, and that little bit of time that you keep buying yourself is enough to, like I say, to drain their resources and also resupply yours. And so that's really just strengthening your odds the more you stall. And like I said, retreating is just a form of stalling. And it's many tactics to be used because we always look at David versus Goliath, and we think it's so hard to beat Goliath. But no, it's really not. It's a bunch of ways to defeat Goliath, from eternally, from multiple fronts, to dividing them. It's so easy because they're so big. It's easy to get spies, or to seep propaganda into their nations. Even now, we see Russia use TikTok and Twitter to sway votes or sway media outlets. So it's easy to divide a big, powerful nation. They don't have to just build their army up. They could do it through technology. They could do it through the people of America, and get the people of America to get fucked up. They could start a civil war in America without even they can make America fight America without even having to get their military force inactive. As far as Russia and China, that's why TikTok and Microsoft are so dangerous, because it's so many forms of war that, besides just building up your military. That's just one example. And if you ask me, America kind of got its too many eggs in one basket. Because look what Wuhan did, accident or not. That didn't stop us from a pandemic destruction. That shit almost collapsed our economy. So we look at it, I know we got the CDC and shit like that. I know we got funding going on with that too. And if we wanted to go into plague wars, we could do that as well. I'm not saying that. I know that's possible. But that will hurt us more than it hurts. No, it'll hurt everybody. But just saying, it ain't always about, it's many ways to collapse a nation. It ain't just about growing your numbers and your military force. Literally, a disease could do it. That's literally how they wiped out the Native Americans. It wasn't that their force was so huge. It was smallpox. It was their dirty ass natures. That's how they wiped out the Native Americans. It wasn't this great war that they put on us. So it ain't about always having a great force and population of military. We can do other things to collapse the economy or collapse a nation. So, yeah. I think that's about it, man. Like I said, this all led from my homeboy saying how Mansa Musa fell. Same way all these other nations has failed and fallen and risen, or still, or even still into existence today. But when I talk about the growth and where America and the world is heading, it's heading towards better leadership. Because no matter where you look, Mexico, no matter where you look, China, Russia, no matter where you look, India, no matter where you look, I'm gonna keep repeating myself, I'm sorry, till I show y'all all these bad leadership. You can go in all these places, all these major areas that I showed you, these princes and shit, they be trash. Okay, let's get out of there. We know that. The Vatican's trash, that's in here somewhere. British trash, we know that's in there. The Spaniards, we talked about how they got control. All right, we know that. Anybody involved with the UN, trash. Because they're all about global domination. They're not about growth. And either whether it's through trauma or the oppressed becoming the oppressors, nobody ever learned their lesson. So no matter where you look on this motherfucking map, bad leadership. So, and how I look at it when we look in the news and Lebanese, they in the gate calling pedophile. They made their government quit, step down because they're inadequate. And there's even more stuff that they're inadequate about. Same with Venezuela and these areas over here. They're at the gates of these people's doors talking about, come out. We got rope for y'all. We got plenty enough rope. The Lebanese came out with rope. We got plenty enough rope. China is very good with keeping their propaganda in-house, but there's a lot of riots and things going on in China that I'm pretty sure we don't know about. I probably can say the same thing about South America, but North America. North Korea, because we just talk about how they keep everything in-house, but I'm sure there's riots and shit that go on there. But Mexico, bad leadership. The government bought out by cartel. The cartel is funded by the government. So same here. It's even worse down here with the cocaine and shit. Same with here. Not only is it oil, it's opioids. Hella opioids in these areas. Same with in these areas as well. Hella opioids. North Korea, where's Vietnam? Hella opioids in these areas. The Philippines, hella opioids. Thailand, India, hella opioids in these areas. So yeah, they also dominating, and that's the reason pharmaceuticals is so bad, and so many Americans and citizens of the world are docile because the shit that they feed us, the shit that they put in our stuff. Nigga, it was opioids and coke, the coke products, the soda that's global. What's something else that's global? McDonald's. What's other shit that's global? Who knows the chemicals, compounds that keep us docile and lazy? So when I say that, all to say, even these corporations inside these places, a lot of them trash, because it's all about capitalism. It's all about capitalism. That's the bottom line. Money, not the people, not the nation. The money is the nation. If it ain't no money, there is no nation. And that's not a great foundation to rely on, because money is a tool of war. Just like gold can be used as a tool of war. That's why we probably took our money from being backed off of gold, because we didn't have a bunch of gold naturally. But that's the problem with America. America trying to call it. We trying to be so. We're being so old-minded and trying to go find some of the old guards like oil, gold. We're trying to take over old resources instead of just being ingenuitive and creating technology and creating and building our people up, building industries up. Because we have we have the energy to do it, but they're so focused on cheaper labor. They're so focused on the bottom line, which is the dollar. They're so focused on a backing that's really not a true backing that could be realistic. The dollar goes up and down every day, but you know what doesn't? The American people. The American people stay up every day, ready to go to work every day. But what fails them every day? The dollar. So why would we back our foundation on the dollar and rely on the dollar as being what we deem a powerful nation or not, versus the actual people inside the nation and what they're capable of? I would rather be a foundation or a nation built off the people instead of the dollar. Because the dollar can collapse, but the people inside of these places that build these industries up and build up and be these ingenuitive and trailblazers and creative people, they won't fall if you keep bailing them out. You don't bail out the people. You bail out these corporations that have high inflation rates and that already got money through many scams and schemes, but those are still tactics of war. Inflation is a tactic of war. And trust me, if you think another nation don't know how to inflate another nation's economy, you don't know about Forex. You don't know about these currency and these markets that's going on. Literally, we're at war with the economy, with the currency, and then and many other things. We just don't know it as the average citizen. But I literally heard somebody say, he was like, it don't matter if Trump or Biden win, we're going to war with China. Why? Because it's been too many acts of war through economy, through us trying to be inside of their oceans and trying to colonize and put bases in places they don't want us. It's too many acts of war. My mouth's so dry, bro. Why did I say that? The acts of war. Too many acts of war. Why did I say that? It's too many acts of war. Yeah, it don't really matter what we do at this point. We already at war. We already at war. That's the problem. We don't think we at war. We already at war. We never stop being at war, because that's the only way this the only way America thrives is at war. If it's not at war, it's on a downtrend as far as being a profitable economy. My video, We Deceive, out of the 400 years that we've been a nation, we've been at war at least 70 to 80% of those years. Out of however many years we've been a nation, the 400 years we've been a nation, we've been at war 80 to 90% of the time. I say 70 to be nice, but when you really talk about how they have been at war with its people, which I know a lot of people can mitigate or caveat or compartmentalize, I won't do that. If you're at war with your people, that's still an act of civil war. And that's still an act of you trying to boom your economy, because that's how the principles they thrive on. So right now, we're at an economical war with China. That's why you see all this TikTok litigation and conversations. That's why you see these you see all these conversations with the war on information, the battle of information. These are all war tactics, because we're at war. You don't display war tactics unless you're at war. So at some point, black people need to realize that it's a war on us. Minorities need to realize that it's a war on us. The American people need to realize we're at war. And who's the real cause of it? Because it's not the Chinese. It's not the Western countries. It's us. We keep cornering people. And then we keep looking at these people like, why they not changing, when we're the ones doing all the wrong. So Americans are being misled and valuing the wrong foundations. And then once they shit get inflated and they don't have anything to be backed by, they're gonna be looking stupid. So America, y'all need to realize what the Americans who are truly proud of America, that's indoctrinated and love America, y'all need to realize how y'all being misled and how this is not a strong foundation to be backed on. Either if it's war, money, gold, oil, it's not the people. And that's what any nation, the nation is not the money, it's not the existential things that the nation can produce. It's the eternal things that nation has, the people. You can't have a nation without people. You just got boundaries and land if you have no people. So the fact that we try to act like a foundation and our backing's supposed to be on gold and a dollar and oil, that's an illusion. They're just trying to devalue you. So even if you're American, so let's listen to this as a black community. You got to worry about the war on black people, obviously the war on minorities, because black people got a special war on them. Mexicans and Hispanics, they getting a special war on them too with this immigration and shit as well. But y'all starting to see it. We've been the immigration shit and ISIS. That's just an example of mass incarceration, which y'all been a part of as well. Y'all been getting tasters of it, but now they really implementing it even more. So y'all see it too. So blacks, we got it. As long as another plight with the minority plight, then you got to think about it. There's a war on the middle class. There's a war on poverty. Or not even a war on poverty. It just, the oppression of poverty is even more. Homeless is rising. This middle class gap from wealthy and elites is rising. So when you think about all the different wars that's are mounted on top of us as the black people, not alone just American, because if you're just an American, you got a lot of problems. Not even equating the black people in America. So I think that's why it'd be so hard for us to deal with white people and trying to tell them our problems, because they got to worry about so much other shit that's their plight. And then we trying to vote and trying to say, hey, take care of our shit. Mexicans vote and take care of our shit. We all standing in line when America got so many other bigger problems. You think they give a fuck about black people plight when China at their neck? You think they give a fuck about Hispanic plight? They literally trying to imprison us so we can fight their war. The more people they got in prison, the more they can. When what you call when a draft come, when this shit really shake down, they gonna already have niggas in prison that they can implement as soldiers. I don't know how good of soldiers we'll be to them, because I wouldn't fight if I got in prison. They got me fucked up. But they already got people in prison, and they're like, if you want to get freedom, just like they did with black people and slavery. If you want freedom, fight our war for us, and we promise you a better future. And then they win the war, and then they just give you the cookies and crumbs of that. But we damn near won the whole war as far as the Civil War. If it wasn't for us, the North wouldn't have won. The fuck? Wouldn't have been close. Well, I ain't gonna say it wouldn't have been close, but no, it wouldn't have been close, because the South had too many resources and they had slaves. So yeah, it wouldn't have been close. It took the North getting the slave class out of the South for them to win, and then gave us the small pieces. So they gonna put us in jail, and then once that big war break out, hey, if y'all really want freedom, here y'all go. But that shit a joke. That shit a joke. If we know history, how it repeats itself, they're just gonna give us the crumbs after. And then to think how we end up in the cages was a part of them building up their army force in the first place. So these numbers could be inflated, because I really don't feel like, yeah, they may have bases and shit, but they looking for numbers. Military always hiring. And I feel like just like how our mass incarceration fight fires and shit, and building for these corporations, when it's time to go to war, oh yeah, they're gonna use all them prisons as soldiers. And guess who gonna win that war for them? Blacks and minorities, just like we win every other war for them. So yeah, man, we gotta realize the different games that's being played on this, and how much shit stacked on top of us, and how really it's not beneficial for us to even vote, because it's so many other problems that's going on in America. They're not really interested in our problems. The only time they're gonna be interested in our problems is when they need our help. And it's like, why keep playing that game? Why keep standing in line when we can start fixing our own shit, especially when we see the potential of our growth? It don't take much to be thrive as a nation. We've seen how this nation went from here to taking over all of this. Just like the black population, we got what, 40 million people, 50 million people, versus the majority is 3 million. It wouldn't take much for us to get there, especially if you include us to the minority population of the Hispanics. If you add our 40 and you add they 60, that's 100. We're only 200K away. And then if you talk about the money and work equity that we have as a community, as in the black and Hispanic community, that's all of the working class. We could crash America. We could literally crash American economy tomorrow if Hispanics and blacks say let's stop working. Literally, we could crash the economy tomorrow. America the great that we know could be gone off the face of the earth with our Thanos snap like that. When y'all talk about what's the change, y'all just got to believe in yourself. We just got to believe in ourselves, and that we could build after that. But if we could build in this such an oppressive ass nation that's been against us, that's constantly trying to take from us, when we build places like Tulsa, when we build up these great cities, or just great groups and cultures, they always tear it down. When we build up our people, they always try to tear us down. There's only so much we can grow before they look to cap us out. So knowing that, let's cap them out. Black and brown people, we know how much power we got. We know how much power we got, and we can change all this shit in red to brown. We can change all this shit. All this shit can go back to brown like it's supposed to be. Not that it ain't gonna be white people and light skin and yellow people, but brown people running the world like it's supposed to be. Now I'm being facetious because there's a lot of lost brown people, but the true gods, the true leaders, that's the only way this shit gonna get back to balance. When the true people are allowed to step up. But as long as people keep playing these games and keep acting traumatized and keep being the oppressed becoming the oppressor, the color's gonna change over time. It's gonna go from red to purple, blue, whatever. It ain't gonna never be holistic. And at some point or another, we need this shit to all be brown, because those are the people that we show we got the most compassion. We show we got the most empathy. We show we got the most respect as far as respecting other people's cultures, even though they don't respect us. We show we can do that. Versus all these other cultures have not. All these other leaders have not. So if we want to collapse these nations, any nation you name it, the working class can collapse it in a day. The working class can collapse it in a day. Any nation you name. Me even saying that, I don't feel like I could clip this up and put it in a video on Twitter. Because that's the truth. It goes into it. And this is me, and I'll wrap it up, man. This is me wrapping it up, man. I've been in this thing for almost 3 hours because this is such a good topic. Appreciate you, my guy. My boy D-Friend was on one. That was a great question, bro. Because a lot of people have that American pride or have that American idea that America just gonna run forever. But everything has a prime, everything has a cap. And even with Trump Make America Great Again shows that he's alluding to an old prime that we're not in anymore. But if y'all don't know why I'm looking for this, my shit start. Yeah, but if you don't know, it's talking about ants, referring to yeah, I don't want to put it in there in no way, because that'd be that 2-minute video that I made. No, actually I could put it in there. I could just clip that out and then repost it. So I'll try to put it in there anyways if this thing will work. But ants, there's 1 million ants and there was like 5 to 10 wasps. That's how it is. There's a 1%, then there's the 99% that's getting ran by that 1%. If we decided to flex our wealth, which is the working class, none of these corporations could ever make a dime again. How could Jeff Bezos ever deliver another motherfucking package without a person getting paid $10 an hour? I ain't saying we gotta ask. I ain't saying we don't have to work with these people, because once we flex our power, they're gonna start twerking. And once we flex our power and do something like that, ain't no going back. They're gonna have to respect us for the. We never could go back once we flex that type of muscle. We never could. It's like pointing a gun at somebody. If you point that gun, you better shoot it in a sense. And with us, when we point that gun, that threat of even pointing is enough to silence all this fuckery that they've been doing against our people, the brown and black people. I'm telling you, if we stop working tomorrow, just how they boycotted the NBA, if we stop working tomorrow, all these corporations that we love will still be around. They'll just need a bailout by us.
There was that ant that stood up to me.
Yeah, but we can forget about him.
Yeah,
What's going on?
Just one ant.
Think y'all can hear that? That's weird. Oh, okay, hold on. Oh no, my TV just low. Oh no, I wasn't tripping. Okay. And that's the working class. If we're the working class, me speaking up is that one ant. But if I can just get to people, the other million ants in the colony that's been oppressed, brother. Our power is puny as far as what we know. We feel powerless. We feel like we got to answer to the wasp. We feel like the elites have all the power in the world. We feel like Goliath and the Death Star is just cannot be defeated. That's how important it is, and that's how they know this. They want to keep the individual down, because if individual can rise up and light up his corner of the earth, that's why I say black people have a cap. Because when we start growing, the amount of freedom that we display is so contagious. It's hard for other people to be like, I can't be in these chains when I see this person living their life so freedom, and then I know they came from a similar place as me. It's such a powerful message that's being sent. Like when we say a person, a picture's worth 1,000 words, somebody rising out of the hood is worth 1 trillion. And that imagery and that example motivates so many people. That's why they got to cap out people like Michael Jackson, even though that's hard as hell to do. But they tried to do it as much as they could with the kid shit. With so much shit, to the point they just tried to kill him. Because same with so many people. It gets to a point where if you don't keep the individual down, they start touching so many people, and it's contagious. It's more contagious than Corona. Freedom. And that's the working class completely just stop. That's the working class putting his weight on the elites. That's the working class all standing up. The elites wouldn't have nothing to do because they don't have any numbers. It's so few of them. That's the problem. That's the problem with being elite. They will. I don't want to get. I'm just. And this go back to the synagogue of Satan, or the tongue of Satan. Like, this is why they got to be so good at speaking, so good at being passive aggressive, so good at backing you in the corner, then letting you out the corner, backing you in the corner and letting you out the corner. They got to play this jousting game because they don't have the numbers. It's all about stalling. It's all about finessing. That's because war is not just about numbers. If there was a numbers game, they would have been lost. It's about mental. It's about so many other things. It's about education. It's about wisdom. It's about confidence. Having emotion, putting the energy behind it. Narrative. It's about a lot of that shit. And for them, they know how to change that shit. They keep their hand on media where they always got they can always dictate and change narratives. Keep the individual lost in the game and the shuffle. They constantly jousting around topics, constantly bringing up minute points that don't even apply to me, or to my plight. But they're able to just jump around topics. Or around things, just like anything with a person that don't want to be accountable. Their words could say so much but mean nothing, because they never display the action that they say. And that's what it is about these elites. That's why they're so good at talking. They got us into this mind game and into this maze that we feel like we have no power. But bro, if we realized the tactics that they were using were so weak, like from far as stalling and shit like that, if we came at their throat, it wouldn't be nothing that they had to stop us. Because all that shit only lasts, all that talking around shit only can go so far. A 100 to 1. So let me tell you this. So when you see that white population, this is probably inaccurate or inflated. Let's be real. Same as Same as this number is probably deflated. Same with the brown people. These numbers are probably deflated. Oh, and then this just goes back into one of my things again with the Oregon Trail. I mean, with the Trail of Tears. I wish I could have put that in here earlier, but I showed you this already. This is our This is our majority population of black people. Majority of black people are along the coast, and then along here, which was all dealing with the Seminoles, dealing with the Trails of Tears and things like that. We never moved. We never moved. And we keep repopulating this area. So they cornered us. You gotta think we were cornered, and our numbers was way lower than this. Like, you gotta think we was at 14 to 17 million, 7 to 14 million, and they had us cornered as far as the Native Americans and shit like that. Now we're at 50, and we're gonna keep taking over this more and more. And then if you take, like I said, if you add the brown community as well, that's all of this. See, now look at this. Now look at this. You got the brown community. Let me get a timestamp. You got the brown community. Well, black community all right here, which was from Native Americans, the Seminoles, the Creek Indians, the many people that I showed earlier. And then you have the Hispanics all the way throughout from Las Vegas, which is literally a motherfucking Hispanic ass name, to California, San Diego, which is Mexico, from New Mexico to Tejas to what's this? Utah? No, New Mexico, Arizona. All Hispanic. So the brown population is still all of the South, damn near. And I still say these numbers are probably deflated because of what we say with the ants. They say they number us 100 to 1, but it's in their numbers when we talk about them being purely analytical and how stats can lie, and they love to throw stats, and they're just a part of them, another synagogue of Satan with the tongue of Satan. There's just analytics just help them out and being more divisive and throwing random numbers at us. This will play a part into it. So I'm sure our numbers are probably even more higher than that. But even if you if you take these Hispanics and these Hispanics which can speak American and English along with us, we could work together. And then we got a whole nother market we could tap into, because y'all can easily communicate to y'all people and say, we need y'all right now. And what we can do if we can take over America. We don't gotta have this border where our people keep drowning. And I'm saying our people, because I know black people don't necessarily care, because that's not the narrative. We don't know about that. But that's our plight too, guys. That's our plight too. We got to add that all together, because that'll make it easier on us. Instead of trying to get the black people shit done and then Hispanics people shit done, we lump all that shit together because it's so similar. It's so similar. The colonization, like I said, I've showed it. It's not even no different. And then when you talk about even our existence on America, it's not that different. They tried to depopulate us, but we kept growing our shit. And if you want to ask about Hispanics and their shit, let's pull it up. Like I said, I thought this was about to be a wrap up, but man, y'all about to get 3 hours if that's what it's called for. I always got time for the good topics. Hispanic. No, I can't spell. All right, so once again, and then look at it. In Florida, that's the Cuban, South America, so you get Haitians, you're going to get more dark-skinned people. Even over here, this is Hispanic, but even here, there's even darker Hispanics. Because why? Because that's where the Seminoles and more darker people were at the time. Same with the Cubans and shit like that. Even Seminoles in Cuba, like we were going from port to port. Just like how y'all seen, I know y'all may have missed it. I said it real quick. I was like, damn, I didn't know they was traveling through the Gulf to get to France, to get to New Orleans and over here to be the Creoles and shit like that, and whatever. But even here, they were going to Cuba and back and forth and shit like that, cause Cuba right there. They just how Cubans and shit, they still doing that. It's a lot harder nowadays because they got so much so many boat patrols and shit. They had to basically cycle it through here, but they've been trying to stop the population of the repopulation of the brown people. And this is how they stop it, by closing these borders off. If they can't close these borders off, it's impossible to stop it. It's impossible to stop it. Damn, that shit crazy. I had a dream. I'm not gonna say how the dream was because my dreams are weird, but I literally had a dream that I was bringing a Hispanic woman and a black woman together. That shit crazy. Literally just had a dream about that. So yeah, you have to. And when I say that, that's also bringing the soil together, because we have this soil half. There's a Hispanic soil, then the black soil. If we and Texas in the middle, Tejas right in the middle. If we could bring that shit together and then have the backing of the Hispanic cartel as well, Cause not saying, I wouldn't say that, cause we need to get rid of their leadership. Like I said, I already said that. Well, I was just being funny. But if we was to use a lot of the backings, yeah, it'd be different. It'd be different. We could literally stop so much shit. And then, like I said, even past that, we don't even need the backings. That's me talking about real war. Us stop working is all the war tactic that we need. That's all the war tactic that we need. Cause we outnumber them by so much. Look at that. We literally almost all of the South. All of the South. Almost all of the South. Times have not changed. Redlining has not changed. Only thing that's changed is who's controlling the South. More and more brown people control the South. So let's finish this up. Like a snap. Food was because that's what they get them. The ants work for the wasps to give them food. That's their economy. So it's not about food, it's about the dominance. It's not that you go to work for us every day. It's about the domination and shit. Now it is about you going to work every day, but it's also about the docile blindness of you going to work every day. Like you think you buying food is for the greater cause of things. You think making money is for the greater cause of things, but a lot of times you could that's really going against your freedom. We're seeing how the ants could have been building up their own shit, but the whole time they giving away for these dudes. But yeah, it's not about food. So it's not about oil. It's not about gold. It's not about money. It's not about boundaries. It's not about building up a wall. It's about the intimidation factor. It's about the oppression level. Literally in line, inside the borders, inside the rules. But yeah, man, it's so much different information that I came upon myself because this really was a freestyle from all information that I've been looked up. But Latino, they try to look. We used to get this. We used to say mulatto. Because now Latino and Hispanic categories is being separated. Because Latinos feel a certain way, and then you have Hispanics that feel a certain way about their cultural relevance. I can't say the word. But regardless, y'all the same. Same with how they try to divide Hispanics up between blacks and browns. Same with how they try to divide the blacks up between Creole and mulattoes. Them are black people. Just like Latinos and Hispanics, those are black people. Those are brown. We're all the same. Native Americans are all the same. Yes, we have different tribes and cultures, but those are just little identifications of what we are. That's not our whole identification. And they know that, and they build on that tribalistic instinct and keep pushing towards that Latino. They don't say Hispanic. They speak to the white aspect of the Hispanic and Mexican or Spanish community. Because Latino is your colonizers. Remember that. So they speaking to the white side of it. They don't mind the white portions of that society growing. Think about it. There's white Cubans. There's black Cubans. There's black Italians. There's black Africans. Obviously, there's white Africans. There's black Jews. But literally, the black people in each of these nations get pushed down while the lighter skins get pushed up and to better roles. That we know that. We see that with colorism all the time in the black community. It's no different in every other community. Black people exist in every culture, from Greece to Rome, China. Motherfucker Genghis Khan might have been black. He was hella dark. He wasn't yellow. He was hella brown. Because we even know Hispanics look like Chinese people, if you ask me. And if Chinese and Hispanics are damn near the same, black people, just a less melanated version of it. But even then, you say that. I say all that to say, black people are in every culture. But the problem of it is, the cultures that get accepted, the parts of the culture that get accepted in America are only the white and light-skinned, the most light-skinned versions of it. Because even at one point, white Italians wasn't accepted, white Irish people wasn't accepted. But then They segregated. They rose themselves up. But best believe they were Black Irish. Nigga, my name is Neely. That comes from O'Neill. The O'Neillys or things like that. That's Irish. I also German. There's Black Germans. Like when we talk about how Africa is right next to all that shit, nigga, all that shit Africa. But through years of colonization, they were able to relabel things. But Black people, just how like right now, look at it. So this is imagine this being Europe. This used to all be Mexico at one point. This is just my symbolism. This used to all be Mexico. Hispanics and Native Americans all throughout here. And as times change, they name it America. They name it Texas. They name it New Mexico. They name it Arizona. They name it California. Whole time, Mexicans still live here. Mexicans never went nowhere. Same thing for Black people. All that shit used to be black. But as time got colonized, the nations and the names of the things changed. But Black people never went nowhere. So yeah, Black people are Irish. Black people are Greek. That's not even like I know it sounds crazy because we're not from over there, but nigga, there's Black Englishmen, but we don't consider them English because of how we made things about borders and not about origin or not about how Africa is literally everything. It used to be Pangea, nigga. So if it went for Pangea and everything was African, when as shit separated, shit was still black. Yeah, white colonization came along after things kept being spread out. But ultimately, Black people were still there. The names just changed. Like I said, how can you even call somebody Native American when they were native before America? So they were native something else. But we don't know that name because we've been stuck with America for how long? So, this is just Black Spaniards or Black Irish, because obviously they're Black Spaniards. I just talked about Cuban and stuff like that. And you're not gonna obviously they're not gonna pull pictures up of this shit because they don't like to admit that Black people can be Irish. They don't accept the Black people. They don't accept Black people being Roman. So you can't be a Roman Black person because they don't accept that. Even though when it's all about borders and borders cannot dictate skin color, they still find a way to make it allow it to do that because it's just a part of their games that they play. Black Romans. Okay, so you can't hide that with the dreads, my nigga. With the dreads, my nigga. I always gotta have it. They always just hypersexuality been around, man. They know who the alphas. This physical, this is a spiritual representation. Because they live through their animalistic natures and we necessarily don't, but since we just big dick energy. We don't literally have to have a big dick, but it's big dick energy, what Rihanna would refer to. So it's really a spiritual big dick as far as being the alphas of this world. That's why everybody sees us as the big dick. Even with white men, it's the inferior complex with this leadership. We ruled with big dicks like we were abundant. we didn't rule like we had micro dicks. Or infertility and survival. We were so abundant we wasn't worried about that lack of shit. And that's probably why we got lax and lazy on certain things, because we were so abundant. Why were we worried about survival? So that's another answer to Massa Musa and why maybe they fail. Like at some point you're so abundant, but that's still an excuse to me because obviously we know there was always these type of people around. But even then, I see how we could get lax when we were so rich and comfortable. But yeah, he could be Greek, he could be Roman, he could be Irish. But nowadays we're just gonna consider him African because that's the only way we can really label somebody is by a border. And that's kind of flawed because these people are literally in the borders that you say, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Like we shouldn't, like if you're American, it shouldn't be African American. You should just be American. It shouldn't be Mexican American. That's it's a like you don't say white American. You just say white, or you just say American. You just think of a white person. You know what I mean? Or you just think of the citizens under the natural citizens of America.
But you say Mexican American, African American, it's like a caveat. Like you kind of American, but it's like, how is that's a joke when you think about black people ain't never been to Africa, especially these black people ain't never been to Africa, and so many other things. It's a hypocrisy, and it just shows like that's just another part of them not giving us our value in this inside of this nation. Go back to Africa because you're African American. You're not just American. You got somewhere else to go to. But no, we built this hoe up just like we built up Africa. So no, if I want to say I'm African, I can, but I also have the right to say I'm just American. And either way, I'm valuable in both places. So that would be like me being able to speak multi languages because we built up a foundation in America and Africa. And we should be able to have the right to say and do whatever we want in either nation because the dues we paid. But when they say African American, they're doing it as a caveat to mitigate our value. To say you're not really American, you're Jewish, you're American-ish, and that's crazy because all you got to do, last time I checked, all you got to do is be born in a nation to be of that nation. You ain't even got to put in the dues like I talk about. I mean, yeah, taxes over time, but literally you just have to be born inside of a nation. But somehow they still find a way to say, nah, you're not fully from here. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. There's black Russians. If you look at, there's a lot of paintings like this in Russia. Very brown, melanated people in Russia. That's why Vlad's so infatuated with rap in our culture. A lot of Russians, everybody infatuated with us because we big dicks. I'm telling y'all, we alphas. We alphas, man. So yeah, that's my last little thing. Oh, and that's another way to mislabel us. If you mislabel us, if you call us mulattoes, if you call us African Americans, if you call us Hispanics, that's different ways to divide our numbers up and say that we're to not get an accurate number of how many people we really are as far as the minority or as a whole. So if you that's literally that's another reason with the census and shit like that. They literally was giving us names and divisive names like you're too light skinned, you're a mulatto, you're too dark skinned, you're black. You speak a different language, you're Hispanic, even though we're all in the same plight, even though we're going through the same shit. Because it was Hispanics being moved with the during the trail as well. You got to think about that. Because just like I showed here, nigga, look at the Hispanics here. They was in Cuba, they was in stuff like that. So even with us being Seminoles and black people being here, Hispanics was on this side too. So Hispanics was being moved during the Trail of Tears. So it wasn't just black people. We always going through the same plight. But what they did, they mixed up our name. They gave us divisive names. So we couldn't get an accurate interpretation on how many it really is of us, because it's really more than 100 to 1, if you ask me. Especially if you take Mexico, and then if you take the global, how many brown? Because even global, you won't get brown population, and that's what a global, and it's been a global oppression against brown people. That's why I like this, but they won't show that. They're gonna say Africans. It's gonna be different versions. They're not gonna give you just brown people. They're gonna have Hispanics in one. They're gonna have Indians in one. 'Cause you gotta think about Indian people. They just like us too. They literally even called us Indians because they thought Indians was Native Americans. That wasn't a coincidence. That's reality. They really gave that shit away. They gave us free game. They're like, oh, Indians black people too. So you think Indians are black people? If you got Indians mistaken with Native Americans, best believe you can do the same thing with Hispanics and Chinese people that or brown as well. Because literally they were like, they came to America, and I've showed you how America was dominated by my melanated brown people, and even just melanated brown people. Same like India. So Columbus trying to get his ass to India ended up a Native American. Like, damn, he didn't even see a difference. Even though you would think he probably just didn't understand their language regardless of the fact. But yeah, so even then, you taking the Indian population, they hello oppressed as well. I put up an article not too long ago where bears had AIDS, and they sent it to they found AIDS or traces of AIDS inside of their migraine medicine, and instead of just throwing it away or getting rid of it, they start selling that shit in India. So best believe India getting hold. They got oppression and low wages being used on them as well. Indonesia, Venezuela, all these places, bro. If we really took the number of brown people, it's way more than 100 to 1. But even the working class, we know just the working class, fuck brown. Because everybody that's a working class that's not elite is being oppressed. And if we just understood that principle, we could take our power back. That's more than 100 to 1. That's literally 99% to 1. There's a 1%, and then there's even a 1% of the 1% that we could get into and say that's divisive. Because there's a 1%, and then inside that 1%, there's like a 0.0001% of who's really running shit. So even that 1%, it's only a few of them that really got power. And they could come along with us as well. Let's be real. But obviously they probably wouldn't because they resonate with rich people. But I'm just saying, even then, they not really that rich compared to some of these other niggas. Cause even some of these 1% is really on the edge of the 1%, and you close to that 99%. And once you're in that 99%, that gap only grows. So even being elite is a scarcity because it's always getting smaller and smaller. That's the thing about being elite. The more people that it is, the less elite it is. But fucking elite. Fucking elite, my nigga. Nah, I can't say that. I can't say less people it is. That's just one idea of elite. Because you can have a dominant elite team and have many people and still be elite. You don't have to be small to be elite. So yeah, that's what they think being elite is. It's just the smallest possible is the best way to keep the money on their side in their favor. But yeah, if we see the odds, bro, it's literally 99% of the population against the 1% of the population. And then if we understood and just respect everybody's spaces, if everybody understood the 99% just wanted to survive and have freedom, and the 1% just been causing us to fight each other, man, we don't even have to worry about building up bases after these wars and after we take down the 1%. Because the only reason the bases are here is because of the 1% was causing divisive rhetoric. So a lot of times when we look at the flaws in the new world that we're going to head into, it's going to be new leaders. And with these new leaders, they're not going to be so eager to go into war because there's going to be new gods, holistic people. And if they're not new leaders, they're going to be off with the head because people are tired of that. And you can't play that trick on. You won't be able to play those tricks anymore because it's been ran on us for literally more than 400 years. Our ancestors been getting this shit for over thousands of years. I already showed you Native Americans been getting hold since the 1500s, and that's if we go to biblical, we were getting hold over there in Jerusalem as well. You best believe those are brown people that were slaves building up these Jerusalem empires and shit during those times. So even in the Bible, we were slaves. So biblically we've been fighting a lot of these things, and ultimately we've been rebuilding our numbers up from the biblical times. And new leaders have been coming up, like because at first you got to think we got Jesus. You got Moses, you had a few others, and then you get like Massa Musa, and then you get later on you get Harriet Tubman. I'm just saying, as a black, you get more and more black leaders closer and closer together. Like they were first, it was biblically. You had one far away, you had Moses, then another 300 years you had Jesus, then another 300 years or 400 years you got whoever fuck, I don't know. I'm just making up shit at this point. And then you get to okay, so then another 300 years you get Massa Musa. Then after that, we go through slavery, and we had some leaders and shit, but ultimately we were on our downfall. We didn't really see any more leaders until you get, we don't get any more historical leaders until you get the Harriet Tubmans, till you get Booker T. Washington, Douglas, those type of inventors and shit like that. Then you see how those get closer and closer. Like our leaders, we've been cultivating more and more leaders. Then you get further down, you get the 19-year-old, I always forget his name. I hate that I forget his name, that was killed in Detroit. They got a movie coming out on him literally soon. We get him, we get more revolutionaries. You get Malcolm X, you get Martin Luther King, and then we hit a little we had way more between the dude that died in the 1920s. I forget his name, man. It's not Gaddafi. I always want to say Gaddafi. It starts with a G, I feel like. But we had a lot of people, Black Panthers. We had a lot of revolutionaries, the Seminoles in general. We had a lot of revolutionary, Bass Reeves, Django. We had them in there, but since history don't really show us too much favoritism, it'd be hard to kind of just pull up these names just off the rip. But then after you get to like Malcolm X and shit, you stop seeing as much revolutionary. But I think that also was a birth of a new revolutionary, because we got quiet for a little minute and we had to start seeing what was really going on, because integration was new. Malcolm X was speaking off the plight of something that was off segregation. MLK was speaking off the plight of segregation. So integration, new plight started to form. Even though they still had reflections of some of the old things, new plight started to form. And yeah, man, after that, shit, we had to be quiet because it's a new game. We had to learn the game. We were new to this game of integration. But as we started realizing redlining, we started realizing the education, the lack of education and funding in our shit. We started realizing the mass incarcerations in our the pipeline, the prison, the school, the pipeline. It took us a few years that we started realizing the war on drugs. We started realizing the war on entertainment. We started realizing all these different things that were going against us once we integrated. And it took a while for us to figure this out. Another time stamp. It took us a while for us to figure it out just because of, like I said, it's new to us. But as 20, 30 years pass by, you're going to start to get even more powerful revolutionary that tie in Malcolm X, that also tie in the plight of people that's been integrated. So we're going to take in the past messages of that's been what we had been fighting for thousands of years that led up to Malcolm X and MLK and the segregation ending to this new life that we had with white people and faking like we're integrated. So that's another reality that we have to learn, and we've been learning, and we're gonna mix those two, and yeah, it's gonna be crazy, and it's harder. It's gonna be harder to divide us. It's so much information with Google and just us, like even me saying all brown people are the same, like that type of information is being put out. That type of leadership, that alone is the type of leadership that we're going to lead to America falling, because you got to think black and brown been against these people for so long. We've been against each other for so long. Either we're against each other, where it's Mexicans killing Mexicans, blacks killing blacks, or it's blacks killing Mexicans. But at any rate, it's minorities losing our numbers that we could possibly be building nations with. So, yeah, the more that we have these leaders that speak more holistic values and more holistic principles, I think we're gonna see leaders that's so much even more powerful. And even then, with Malcolm X and MLK, if they were able to bring their population and groups together instead of letting white people divide them, which Malcolm X and MLK knew, I don't think the people knew it as well. But that's because we were new to these white media and white tricks, in a sense, at least in this new age of it. Now we've been around media. We know passive aggressive. We know their nature so well. We know how slight or easy they are with the tongue. We know how divisive they are. It's gonna be easy to bring these people together. You see the Bloods and Crips come together. We see it. Yeah, we be having turmoil and tension that rekindle, but overall, we see how we can grow and come together. And if we had real wisdom and education, that shit would never fall apart again. As far as if we realize who our real enemy was. But man, we're gonna end it with here. And I'm done, man. It's 3 hours, my guy. I talked all I can fucking talk. I gave y'all all I can fucking give. If y'all can't like, y'all can't subscribe. Fuck it. Y'all ain't ready for this heat. And if y'all even didn't make this far, hey man, shit, y'all ain't need it. But the people that's still here, man, salute to you, bro. You gonna take this information and be one of those leaders that I'm talking about, because it takes this amount of studying. These conversations take so much amount of depth. Like, bro, I'm talking about so much colonization. I'm talking about shit that happened 600 years ago that's still affecting us today, and we still try to stick to surface level shit. Like, it's gonna take 3 hour conversations. It's gonna take 5 hour conversations. It's gonna take some deep thought for these things to happen. And if you can't stick through that shit, if your survival not that important to keep that attention span, hey man, I salute to you, because you live in a way more comfortable lifestyle than me.
You're right. It's just one ant.
Yeah, boss. They're puny.
Puny? Say, let's pretend this green is a puny little ant. Did that hurt? Nope. Well, how about this one? Are you kidding? How about this?
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Hey, if anybody else want to stay, you can click off because it's really just a caveat and a little just disclaimer. Like I said, I see everybody like your life is way comfortable than me because it's like my survival's at risk. I see it, but everybody try to make a joke out of things. Everybody, like I said, keep staying on the surface level of things. And if you're able to make a joke out of that much of your life and life is just that good for you, I cannot be mad. But I think that I really think you're ignoring the real truth and your real plight for comfortability instead of putting in work. And I relate to the Joe Budden podcast, not saying they're not good, but like how Rory and Ma and they always try to come up with a joke. Even when it some seems it's just like, bro, you forcing it. Like, bro, sometimes jokes just come along. Like, y'all be trying to force shit, or I was trying to be a comedian. Like, sometimes you gotta cut the comedian shit off. Same with that was kind of my conversation to Schultz and Ashbash Gash or whatever his name. Like, it always got to be super funny. You can't never have real analysts as far as a stand-up comedian because they were kind of critiquing Dave Chappelle a little too hard for me. So yeah, and sometimes shit ain't always funny, and I see that with Twitter. It's a joker out of everything. Like, I literally just seen a dude talk about a mayor said this shit and they made a joke. Oh, he grandpa, he invited to the cookout type shit. He was like, if y'all ain't leave and evacuated by now, don't expect no help because I'm not gonna risk these people's lives. But these people, that the lives that you're referring to are people that the taxpayer pay their money to, and then the people that you not trying to go out there and save don't just have the resources. But you make sure you tax them every time. They don't just have the resource to leave. So how you just gonna abandon them when y'all use them all year round? But when trauma come, and turmoil come, y'all able to just be like, oh, every man for theyself. But what happened to that? But when our taxes was getting taken out. So, but people laughing, talking about, oh, he the truth. He's so real. How the fuck is he real? He literally said he literally telling y'all the help y'all pay for year round not gonna be there. That's like an insurance company saying, hey, this shit too much for us to handle. So if you stay signed up with us, it's your fault. Nah, nigga, what you mean? I've been paying money to y'all. You can't just come up with that shit. You just can't sell that to us. But people so dumb and people really don't know what's being played on them. They just laugh at this shit. It's like I see how flawed people are, but that's because their attention span so small. They gotta laugh at. They so desensitized. They laugh everything off. They gotta laugh everything off. It's like, bro, everything ain't a joke, and the fact that you gotta laugh to cope shows that what you running away from. Cause y'all be laughing at some shit that's like, how could you even be justified in talking about somebody that wanted to stay and face the hurricane? You didn't even think to even ask yourself what would be their reasons. Y'all just be like, yeah, y'all dumb if y'all stay. Like, I can't, the hypocrisy in people. I can't wait till y'all struggling because y'all lives are so comfortable. And I'm not gonna put my hand out. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Cause I y'all gotta do it on y'all own, bro. Y'all show too much filth for me to be trying to I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I gotta teach from a distance, and if y'all can't use that, I don't know. I ain't putting my hand out. This is as much as I can do for y'all. Cause how everything a joke. Y'all gonna make a joke out of this ant shit. Y'all gonna make a joke out of so much shit that I could say, and it's like everything a joke. Everything a joke, man. Everybody want to be stand-up comedy. Everybody trying to get likes and subscribes, attention or whatever. Cause that's what they feel like gonna be lead today. They break out stand-up shit. It's like, bro, at what expense are you trying to make people laugh? At what expense are you ignoring things to get a laugh out of stuff? At some point, we have to realize that. But like I said, that's just me ranting because I just see how people so comfortable, or at least try to be comfortable with these fake laughter. That laughter just uncomfortability. When a comic say something that's true, niggas will laugh, but they really only laughing because that's the only thing to react. Like, have you ever been on a roller coaster? Like, all I can do is laugh and almost cry because it's like that energy I've never felt before and I don't know what to do with it, so I just laugh. So it's kind of the same with comedians or people that don't want to deal with real life shit. They just laugh it off. Everything's a joke to them, and I'm tired of those people. Y'all house niggas to me. Y'all really are. Those are the house niggas. The ones that can't take anything serious. and the ones that always can compartmentalize things. Y'all are the housest niggas I ever seen. Cause the things y'all compartmentalize things, the things y'all cape for and cap for, don't give a fuck about y'all. The things that y'all make jokes about really is self-deprecation. Y'all laughing at y'all own plight, laughing at y'all own struggle, laughing at y'all own weaknesses. Sukiana, let me get out of here. I just, it's so much. Like I said, but that was another my last point. I gave y'all 3 hours here. I gave another 2 hours on the podcast where we talked about nothing but leadership and growth. And then I also gave another hour video that day, or 30-minute video that day. I go in depth with this shit. I don't be playing. I don't know why people just. That's why I distance myself, bro. When people don't see the work I put in or respect my gangster, bro, that's your fault. I can't hold you. I can't keep arguing and debating with people that don't see my value. That's like arguing with a white person. Letting they boot off my neck. Like I ain't about to argue with you. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm gonna break your leg if anything. But yeah, man. I just it's the only reason I say that, it sounds like I toot my horn, but I say that just because it's like my life too comfortable not to address these things. I mean, my life not that comfortable. I gotta address these things. I'm actively searching. I'm actively trying to come up with solutions. Why niggas laughing shit off? And it's a time to laugh. It's a time for watching basketball. It's a time for entertainment. Because at some point you gotta break away or detach and just regather yourself. And sometimes what we use to regather ourselves or resupply ourselves with energy will be sports or will be music or something like that. That may be you can say not always 100% the best thing for your future as far as distractions as that people can say, but you need those things. And it's nothing wrong with laughing. There's nothing wrong with going out and being entertainment, but there's a time and place for everything. And the fact that y'all all be just laughing at shit all the time shows that y'all are out of balance and y'all out of whack. Because at some point y'all are just kids, because y'all always acting like a child. You always in a mood of a child. Everything's always funny. Everything's always a joke. Everything's always an antic. Everything's always about being petty and shit. That's a mind of a child. Because you gotta realize there's a time for everything, and I don't think people realize that. And I can say that for different groups, man. Some groups take shit a lot less serious than others. I ain't gonna lie. But that's all due to the different comfortability that's been placed on us in this society. So those are all just traps, and I ain't gonna really try to place no blame on nobody, because that's just gonna cause more divisive rhetoric. But we need to realize how we've been misled, man. We need to realize it, because like I said, you laughing at everything a joke. There's a season for everything. There's just a season for joking, for sure. But when are you gonna get serious? When you gonna get deep? When you gonna, like, there's a season to be surface level. There's a season to just put your feet in the water, just to dip your feet in the water. Every time I go to the pool, I don't want to swim in 6 feet. Sometimes I want to put my feet in the water. I get that. That's cool being surface level. But there's a season for everything. Sometimes I do want to dip my head under the water. Y'all, and it seems like with y'all never want to dip y'all head in the water. Y'all never want to go deeper. Everything's surface level. Everything's a joke. And like I said, this is a joke. But ask ourselves, why we don't like digging our head underwater? Is it we want to maintain our hair, the materialism? Or is it the fear and trauma of water? Either way, it's a product of the white civilization. It's all jokes here, but it got truth as well, goddamn. Like, be real. When we go to the pool, why y'all don't be trying to swim? Y'all gotta maintain an image. that usually a facade. What's another reason? We scared of water. Both products of materialism and colonization. Both coming from, like I said, white nations. So we need to realize, like I said, how deep that analogy go. Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm done, man. I'm done. I gave y'all too many bars. Thank y'all for liking. Thank y'all for subscribing. Salute to the soldiers out here staying focused. Cause, hey, man, you a Seminole. You a Creek. You said you more than that, but hey, man, I see that warrior. I see that savage in y'all. Cause anybody that's willing to put this much time in, effort, I know y'all been doing that in other places. So yeah, man, salute to y'all, man. Keep doing y'all. Keep fighting for y'all independence and freedom, and real independence and freedom, not the right to vote, not gathering 1 million people just for the right to vote. I'm talking about really acquiring real power by any means necessary. But I'm out. Deuces. Love.